Welcome to an absolutely glorious evening in Seattle, Washington. We're here at Husky Stadium. Fox Sports Net presents Pac-10 college football. Tonight, it's the number 23 rated Oregon State Beavers and the 13th ranked Washington Huskies. And hi, everybody. I'm Steve Fiziak. This is Tom Ramsey. Last week, Oregon State pulled off one of their biggest wins in the last 40 years. They beat a top 10 team, USC, for the first time since 1967. Tonight, they can take it to another level as they haven't beaten both SC and Washington in the same year since Harry Truman was president back in 1946.
Well, Steve, if you want to be a championship team, you have to go out on the road and win games. Oregon State has a big challenge tonight. The Huskies are awfully tough at home. The crowd's going to get into it. And I'll tell you what, if you're Washington, you have to rebound off a tough loss a week ago on the road to Oregon.
The crowd already is getting into it right now. Now, for Tuiasosopo, he is the man, but he has inexperience around him at both running back and wide receiver.
Marques Tuiasosopo, one of my Heisman candidates at the beginning of the year, a great player, both with his legs and with his arm. And I'll tell you, he hasn't gotten the help so far this year from the receivers and the running backs. But look for Washington tonight to spring a young freshman as well, Rich Alexis at tailback.
Meantime, the reason Oregon State was able to beat USC last week was a determined defense, but also a tremendous running back by the name of Ken Simon, who ran for a career-high 234.
Kenny Simonton, the most underrated player in college football, the second leading rusher in the NCAA. He packs a wallop, Steve. He's got great elusiveness, great power in a small frame, and he really gets lost behind those big offensive linemen. Look for him to have a real tough going tonight. A couple big defensive players for Washington.
And Dennis Erickson said he has the greatest vision of any running back he has been around, the ability to find the seam and just shoot through. 4.4 speed in the 40. On the other side, it's Marques Tuiasosopo, and he's ready for some football. And thank you, Kevin. A crowd of 70,000 at Husky Stadium awaiting this matchup of number 23 Oregon State in the national rankings for the first time in 32 years against number 13 Washington. We'd like to welcome those of you who were watching the Cal-Arizona State football game, where the final score was ASU 30 and Cal 10. But on the sidelines throughout this evening is our reporter Lisa Molosky. Lisa, we talked about offense. How about the other side of the ball?
Big things in the Pac-10 will be on the field tonight. The Washington Huskies, led by junior Larry Triplett, one of the best defensive linemen in the country. He leads the Pac-10 with 5 sacks. His job tonight, finding a way to stop the nation's number 2 rusher, Ken Simonton. And speaking of the Beavers, Oregon State needs senior DeLawrence Grant to step up big. He leads the Pac-10 with 4 forced fumbles and 2 fumble recoveries. His job, containing Huskies quarterback Marques Tuiasosopo, who loves to run the option. In fact, Steve, Marques is Washington's leading rusher, so Oregon State's defensive ends must come up big tonight.
And Lisa, he does have the ability to go for 300. He did it last year for Rick Neuheisel, passing and rushing for 200. And Neuheisel said he wants his team to play less tense. He felt the players and coaches pressed at Oregon last week. At Oregon State, Dennis Erickson has had a storybook first 2 years in Corvallis. Took the Beavers to their first bowl game last year in 34 years. Last week, he knocked off USC, as we said, for the first time since 1967. Oregon State won the toss and deferred to the second half, so they are kicking off to Washington. And the Huskies are bringing it out from about 7 yards deep. And down that left sideline for the Huskies is Derek Johnson.
Well, the true freshman, Derek Johnson.
Marques Tuiasosopo, big and physical, 6'2", 220. He is a senior from Woodinville. He's thrown for 875 yards, but 7 interceptions. His backs and receivers, Paul Arnold is a sophomore. So is Jeremy Stevens. They want to get the ball to Stevens, who's 6'7". They have an offensive line that averages 314 pounds. Chad Ward is their All-American candidate, and they will go to Paul Arnold, and Arnold is through. And Rick Neuheisel thought that Arnold was being a little tentative. That time he attacked the line of scrimmage. He must attack this defense. Jackson and Grant are their ends. Atkinson and Manning are their tackles. They are good against the run. Darnell Robinson leads them in sacks with 4 this year. In the secondary, probably the best in the Pac-10. Carroll, Carlisle, and Weathersby all at least honorable mention, all Pac-10 last year. Ryan Atkinson on the tackle. He is the 6'6" senior from Santa Barbara, California. Atkinson had to replace Sean Ball. They lost both their tackles last year in Sean Ball and Aaron Wells, and that was a lot. And that is why a lot of people picked Oregon State to finish in the second half of the Pac-10. But here they are, 4-0, and coming off a huge win over USC.
And Steve, you mentioned a moment ago Rick Neuheisel telling us that the team was playing a little bit tense. As we see if they got the first down. Second, what appears to be, it is a first down. Jim Fogelstans, the referee, signaling a first down by about an inch. That makes Neuheisel happy. I know what made Neuheisel a little uneasy on the opening kickoff. Derek Johnson, the true freshman, takes it out from about 8 yards deep. That'll get you to play a little less tense. Go ahead and cut it loose.
Well, Rick said yesterday, as you gain respect in the country, sometimes you get tight, and he felt the entire club played that way last week at Oregon. Paul Arnold remains the running back, and he will get the call to carry, and he sprints to the outside, very close to a first down. I believe they will mark him for the first down. So Washington attacking a very good run defense of Oregon State.
Well, they really are getting some big blocks up front on this play, springing Paul Arnold. Watch him as he just bounces it outside right there, outrunning Darnell Robinson. But when you think about what the Huskies have accomplished this year, they ended up knocking off Washington when they knocked off Miami a few weeks ago. That looms a little larger now with Miami knocking off Florida State today.
And it came right here at Husky Stadium. A wonderful game that was today, 27-24. Miami beating Florida State, the #1 team in the nation, and the #2 team in the nation. Nebraska escaped Iowa State.
Washington, first time out.
Nebraska led by only 1 entering that 4th quarter. Timeout called by Washington, and Rick Neuheisel immediately wants to talk to Wilbur Hooks, who has been out the last couple of games because of injuries. And Neuheisel, whoa, his vein was sticking out of the right side of his neck, which means he's real angry.
Talking to young Wilbur Hooks, #7, the wide receiver. Looks as though he just lined up incorrectly, and that's something that, you know, it boils down to execution. You work on it so many times in practice, and you get to the game, and you just, if you're a coach, you really hope and pray that your players line up in the right spots. Obviously, Hooks caught.
Well, this has been a great series history for the Huskies. Game number 85. The Huskies have won 12 straight. Last year, they demolished them by a final score of 47-21 and led at the half 45-0. First meeting 1897, so they've been playing more than 100 years, but none as important as this one tonight. Both teams could move up in the rankings. Washington wants that Rose Bowl, and Oregon State would love to head there this year. Tuiasosopo on the draw. Paul Arnold with another 5-6 yard run before Richard Siegler wraps him up with Terrence Carroll and Darnell Robinson. So I think Arnold has been challenged. He's been hitting the hole much more aggressively than we've seen on films this last week.
He really has, and one of the guys they want to stay away from is DeLawrence Grant, #1, the defensive end. You see him away from the ball. He's coming upfield, looking for anything on the outside. His job was to contain that time, and they're running away from DeLawrence Grant right now.
2nd and 5. Here comes Arnold again. This time he is wrapped up for a loss. Darius Jackson, #95, the other defensive end, away from DeLawrence Grant.
Exactly. You know, Oregon State has 2 great defensive ends. DeLawrence Grant a little better, and the right side of your screen right there, they chose to run away from him again, but then you run into Darius Jackson. He goes about 6'3", 260 senior, and he's playing awfully well. 15 tackles in the first 4 games this year.
And 7 of them for a loss. 3rd and 7. 3 wide receivers, 1 lone setback. Tuiasosopo going to Jeremy Stevens. And their offensive coordinator, Keith Gilbertson, told us he wanted to get the ball to Stevens at least 6 or 7 times tonight.
And this is like a little look-in, Steve. You see Jeremy Stevens line up at tight end. He's just going to run a little route. Marques Tuiasosopo, they see the strong safety disappear right here. The tight end looks up, quarterback delivers the ball. That's a first down for the Huskies.
A tight end with already 21 catches this year. He had 21 all last year. Now he is a sophomore growing up and a big target for Tuiasosopo tonight. Not much there as they run the fullback Pat Conniff. And striking was Eric Manning, big number 99, the sophomore from Compton, and they like his future a lot.
Yeah, they're getting good play by both those defensive tackles, Atkinson and Manning. Now, they're thick guys. They're about 280 pounds apiece. That's what leads to that. Rushing defense, only 59 yards rushing per game, leading the Pac-10.
Washington has 26 yards rushing on this first drive, so they're almost there. Tuiasosopo will scramble. This is where he is so dangerous. Incomplete, intended for Jeremy Stevens, and Stevens will complain that Calvin Carlisle was holding. No flag.
Yeah, it looked as though the defensive back was draped all over him. I see it from the end zone. Marques comes back, and he is so effective, Steve, as you mentioned, breaking out of the pocket. All of a sudden, Tuiasosopo becomes a two-dimensional player. Carlisle over the back of Stevens, but Stevens is so big you can't tell that someone's hanging on him.
3rd and 9. Washington with a record of 3-1. You see what they have done, converting their 3rd downs this year, and they have a senior and one of the best quarterbacks in the conference to lead them. Stevens is on the right side. The blitz is on, and there's DeLawrence Grant with the sack. His 3rd this year. There's a lot of orange in that west end zone.
Craig Bray, the defensive coordinator, was going to bring a lot of heat, and the time to bring heat, 3rd and long situations. A great look at DeLawrence Grant, just speed rushing on the outside, beating big number 74, Wes Call.
And how about this? They're bringing on John Anderson, who kicked 3 from beyond 50 last year, so he has a strong leg. And he tries it from 52, and it misses. There is a flag down, so let's check this. We've seen a lot of wide rights today. Florida State had one that went wide right. It cost him overtime with Miami. And the final was Miami 27, Florida State 24.
Dead ball, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
It changes their scheme right now. They're going to have to run out the punt team. Newhouse trying to get a read on from the officials. And John Anderson, surprisingly enough, his long was 38 coming into the game, but now they're bringing on Ryan Fleming.
He averaged 40 last year, but under 37 this year, punting to the dangerous Ricky Walker, who started his career at Oregon State as a running back. And now he's been moved to the cornerback, where he plays a lot of nickel for Dennis Erickson's defense. Fleming angles it towards the right sideline. It takes a Oregon State bounce and will be down at the 13-yard line by the Huskies. Scoreless game. Oregon State will go on offense when we come back. Ten minutes, 11 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Washington with a record of 3-1. They lost their first game of the season. It was a conference game last week, 23-16 at Oregon. Big here at Husky Stadium. OSU goes on offense for the first time tonight. Jonathan Smith, the quarterback, will go deep, and it is incomplete. and perhaps a misread because his receiver broke out and should have gone long. Jonathan Smith, the smallest quarterback in the Pac-10 Conference, only 5 feet 10 inches tall. He has only completed 43% of his passes. They say it is his footwork. Ken Simonton, we told you about that young man, but T.J. Hushmanzada, Robert Prescott, Chad Johnson, tremendous speed. The offensive line averages 310 pounds across the front. Chris Gibson, the center, is their best lineman. 3 wide receiver set. They will stay with that, and they run Simonton. Not much there, but a flag will go a-flying. Hakeem Akbar, the free safety, came up and knocked down Simonton. It is against the defense.
Face mask penalty against the defense. Repeat, second down.
Steve, you said it a year ago where the Beavers turned the ball over 7 times. The Husky defense was able to make 2 scores. You see Jeremiah Farms got the face mask incidental. Oh, he came back, got it again. Might have to throw that flag twice.
5 yards, 2nd and 4. They run Simonton past the 20. And he is very close to the first down. Defensively for Washington, Larry Triplett is their All-American candidate in the middle. He goes 6'1", 295, and really can blast off the ball. The linebackers, Darrell Daniels, their leading tackler with 38. Jeremiah Farms will also go down and play a defensive end spot as a rush end. Their secondary is very strong. Lowe and Vontour. Anthony is their best cover corner. Williams and Akbar are very strong against the run. 1st and 10. Play action. Smith almost falls down, then throws and completes the pass at the 40-yard line to Hushmanzada.
If you're going to throw the Huskies off, throw them off with a little bootleg, a little play action. Smith stumbles as he comes out, doesn't throw a great ball, and the ball did hit the turf. Hushmanzada, of course, doing the proper thing of any receiver that catches a questionable, just pick it up, and show the referee you caught it, but they didn't buy it that time.
It did have one hand underneath, so Hushmanzada will go wide right. To the left, the speedy Chad Johnson. A 4-3 burner, and picking him up in man is Omari Lowe. Smith rolling right. This time it is caught by the tight end Martin Maurer. They say he juggled it as he went out of bounds. So that's 2 that have gone against the Beavers.
Boy, and that was nice misdirection once again. Maurer over here on this side of the screen gets held up a little bit. The ball comes out. Actually, that's a catch. The referee was on the back side of the play. Maurer did come down with it, but it comes up with a big 3rd down for Oregon State, 3rd and 10.
3rd and 10. Washington showing blitz from the safety. Smith, incomplete. So 3 passes, all 3 incomplete. And they'd say when he sets his speed, he's very accurate. Has he been setting his feet properly on those last 3 throws, Tom?
Well, it seemed as if they bootlegged him twice, but they're out of their comfort zone right now. Oregon State came in the game rushing the football, dominating with the run, and the Washington defense thus far dictating them to throw 3 in a row, so they go 3 and out.
Derek Johnson back at his 32. Mike Fessler hammers it inside the 30, gets a great bounce inside the 20, all the way to the 10, rolling to the 9. Oh, what a punt by Mike Fessler. We are scoreless in Seattle, Oregon State, and Washington. Ken Simon didn't have an opportunity that often on their first drive, and now Oregon State punts it 65 yards. Rick Neuheisel talking to his receiver. Now they had field position problems that really cost them at Oregon. Their average start position was their own 17. Oregon's average start was their own 47. And the Ducks won 23-16. So now from the 9-yard line, Tuiasosopo with 6'7" Jeremy Stevens right side. He will throw, tries to dump it off. Paul Arnold. Boy, look at the speed of the Oregon State defense. I thought that screen was well set up. Then Siegler and friends came over to knock him out.
I like the screen call on first down to gain some of those yards back. And well, you just don't want to start out that deep in your own end. Boy,
You may not want to start deep in your own end, but Rams, you're a former quarterback and you love these situations, second and inches.
Well, second inches, you'd like to take a shot deep if you could. If you're Washington, and they will take a couple shots tonight. I asked Neuheisel before the game who Marques Tuiasosopo felt most comfortable with going deep. Wilbur Hooks, number 7, the return to him. He's one player. But I tell you, it's just so hard. They played uphill. That was Neuheisel's quote a week ago versus Oregon. Hey, we played uphill the whole game. Well, the Oregon defense is pretty darn good, too.
He'll send 2 wide left. Arnold remains the I-back. Pat Conniff is the fullback. They run Conniff, and I believe Conniff gets it, but he pays for it as Nick Barnett hammers him over the top. Again, we are at Husky Stadium in Seattle, Washington. College football Saturday. Number 13, Washington. Number 23, Oregon State. Steve Physiok, Tom Ramsey, Lisa Milosky here at Husky Stadium. 70,000 plus on hand. I'd like to welcome those of you who are watching the Blackhawks and the Blue Jackets. 5-3, Blackhawks win. First and 10. Arnold, big hole, then it closes very quickly, and there's that speed again. Siegler, Darnell Robinson, and Richard is a 6'3", 210-pound redshirt freshman who had to replace Jonathan Jackson, who we thought was a terrific middle linebacker last year.
Well, and just watch the play develop. They're trying to spring him right up the middle. Watch right towards the end of the play, though. Oh, the helmet comes off. Darnell Robinson, the linebacker, getting popped.
Gain of 4. The option, Arnold. Well, the Huskies right now showing a lot early in this game, Tom. We've seen option, we've seen Arnold, we've seen the screen. He's gone deep.
Well, they want to take away the fullback in here, but watch the end man. Robinson again really puts the pressure on the quarterback, and then Terrence Carroll, number 44, the strong safety, comes up and makes a hit on Arnold. Right now, another third down for Washington. They're 1 for 2 on the evening thus far, but at least it's a 3rd and 2. You don't have a long yardage situation for Tuiasosopo.
Todd Elstrom goes wide to the left for Marcus. Braxton Clement is the fullback. He's more like a tailback. The option again, they read it beautifully, and right there to bring him down was big number 95, Ladarius Jackson.
Steve, the pressure defense of Oregon State again nullifying. There's 10 guys here. 10. Count them. And Marques Tuiasosopo tries to run option downhill. They try to go to the short side, but the back side comes down and just collapses. They just put the clamps on Tuiasosopo, and the Huskies are punting again.
Well, that is one thing that the offensive coordinator, Keith Gilbertson, told us. He said, this is like Miami speed. Dennis Erickson had great speed when he won national championships at the University of Miami. He says he has that same kind of speed at Oregon State. A lot of people don't know about it yet. We have seen that against Tuiasosopo and his option. Hushmanzada is wrapped up near the 35-yard line. We've got a timeout in the field, 6.5 to play here at Husky Stadium in Seattle. Scoreless with number 23 Oregon State and number 13 Washington. Oregon State will go on offense for the second time in this game. This is a club that still is unbeaten, 4-0. 131-21 over USC, even though their quarterback Jonathan Smith did not play that well. He's in the shotgun. Smith whips it and completes the pass. Houshmandzadeh past midfield to the 45 of the Huskies. Let's go down to Lisa Miloski.
Thanks, Steve. Unfortunate news for the Washington Huskies. Matt Conniff is done for the night. Right knee, Steve.
And that is why we saw Braxton Clement, who is a former tailback, go in for Pat. So that is a tough loss. He was Marques Tuiasosopo's teammate in high school at Woodinville, and they play so well together as a tandem. Simonton is ripped for a 3-yard loss. Hakeem Akbar came blitzing from his free safety position.
What's interesting about Oregon State, they have a new line coach, Dan Cazzetto, who came over from Arizona State. He just happens to be in that Northwest coaching fraternity along with Keith Gilbertson, Dennis Erickson, Cazzetto, and all the rest of the coaches on the two staffs. And I'll tell you in a minute what the addition of Cazzetto has meant.
Smith looking deep, wide open. Robert Prescott, touchdown. The Beavers scored first last week against USC, and they won by 10.
Great use of play action. Again, able to get Jonathan Smith, who has been having a little trouble throwing the ball from the pocket, out on the edge. He finds Robert Prescott, his senior receiver, for a great throw and catch. Touchdown, Beavers.
Ryan Seska for the point after. Oregon State early by 7. You know what, Mitch, I would have done it if we had 7-0 Robert Prescott on a 48-yard reception from quarterback Jonathan Smith. Smith got his feet set, fired a strike, and Robert can't get any more open. 3 plays, 65 yards, 7-0 Oregon State. Ryan Seska kicking off. This is Derek Johnson. Johnson smothered at the 15-yard line.
Steve, the reason this play works, there's a little action back here to Kenny Simonton. They're going to fake here, and then Smith is going to roll out. But watch Prescott right here. He's going to come up and then hide. The safeties bite into the line, and I don't blame him. Kenny Simonton, you got to watch out. They pull the guard out. Nice action on the interior. Then Jonathan Smith throws a strike to Prescott.
So Washington's turn. Tuiasosopo with Paul Arnold in his backfield. 85 yards to go against starting core field position. Tuiasosopo, 1-yard gain, 2nd and 9. Now let's go to our College Football Saturday studio for a game break with Kevin Frazier.
Guys, earlier today, Arizona rolled into the Coliseum in LA and applied a spanking to USC. Ortiz Jenkins, one of 2 touchdowns on the day. SC has given up 62 points in the last 2 games. They're 0-2 in the Pac-10.
And Kevin, that is a football team that is reeling after losing at Oregon State and also losing today. So the Trojans, who are as high as 8th in the nation, really gone down. Here's Tuiasosopo, deep tot. Elstrom. He is in bounds. I had had to wait for the call because the officials went against the Huskies on their first offensive drive.
A great look at Elstrom. He's going to be in the slot. Little play action into the line of scrimmage. You see him at the top left-hand corner of the screen. Runs a little corner route, beating Hayward Johnson. Watch, he comes inside and then just a shake route right out back to the corner. When you mentioned, Kevin Frazier said SC suffering 2 losses. That'll pretty much take you out of the conference race right at the beginning.
Unbelievable, and I thought that was the most talented team. Now it is the youngster Rich Alexis, and Alexis is flashing for plenty and finally pulled out of bounds after about a 25-yard gain. This is the true freshman who only played his final year of high school football because his dad wouldn't let him play.
Boy, he's a big-bodied guy, and you see he's awfully fast. Rick Newhouse, before the game, I asked him how early he's going to get Alexis into the game. He said early. We got to get his RPMs up, and he can bring it. I think that's a nice thing about playing young players too. They'll play hard for you. They're not afraid to lumber up in there and get hit.
6'3", 215, true freshman, Coral Springs, Florida, from Hope John Paul High School. And now Tuiasosopo goes play action pass. Looking downfield, it wasn't there, so he swings it away to Jeremy Stevens. And there is Dennis Weathersby, one of the best cornerbacks in the land. All right, Lisa Molosky, what do you have?
Well, you mentioned Rich Alexis. He did indeed play only 1 year of high school football. As you pointed out, his dad did not want him to play. Rich snuck onto the football team as a freshman. In his first game, he scored 5 touchdowns and threw for another. He went home and said, "Hey, Dad, I played." Well, his dad said, "Well, that's nice. You had a great game, but you're not playing again." Finally, before his senior year, his dad relented. Rich ran on to run for 700 yards, 13 touchdowns in 9 games. Got a scholarship to Washington. Steve?
Thank you, Lisa. Here is Tuiasosopo going Alexis. Flag is down. Alexis is to the 10-yard line. But this flag is probably going to go against Oregon State, Tom. You think maybe there was someone in the neutral zone?
I think it's offside, Oregon State. The play will probably stand. Look at the call right now.
Offside on the defense. That penalty refused. First down.
Steve, the best recruitment. Take a look at Oregon State jumping Jeremy Stevens and DeLawrence Grant there. But the best recruiting coup was not by the Washington Huskies staff on Rich Alexis. It was the place kicker, John Anderson, who found Rich Alexis.
They went to high school together.
Exactly. He said, "Hey, Coach Neuheisel, there's a guy on my team that's really good." And sure enough, they went down there and said, "Would you mind taking a trip out here to Washington?" Take a look at the rushing yards. Washington doing what they wanted to do, 75 yards on the ground, and Oregon State really getting away from their game plan.
Alexis, last 2 carries have each gone for 23. He gets it again, trying the middle this time, and this time pushed back.
And even though Oregon State's getting away from their game plan offensively, they still got a big score so far.
Paul Arnold comes back in for Washington. 2nd and 9. Ball at the 13. Grant was blitzing. They dump it off Arnold to the 5, to the 2. There is a flag down.
We see Keith Gilbertson, the offensive coordinator, not afraid to run screens back in his own end or in the red zone. But this one's going to be called back. I believe it's a hold on the interior of the Husky line. Maybe on the wideout.
Holding on the offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat 2nd down.
So instead of 1st and goal to the 2, but Tuiasosopo has eyes in the back of his head the way he found his receiver with rushes in his face.
And here they set up the screen, and Tuiasosopo was able to spin the ball out to Arnold. I think the hold comes from the wide receiver. Yeah, sure enough, it was number 80, Justin Robbins, on the outside. He threw down the cornerback, so it's a little more difficult. 2nd and 12 for Tui. Telling his receivers how to line up.
In motion, the true freshman Justin Robbins. Tuiasosopo with a shot to the end zone. Touchdown, Robbins!
How do you redeem yourself from a penalty? You catch a touchdown. That's what you do. The young freshman Justin Robbins, who lined up more or less in the backfield. Looks like just a mix-up on coverage right there. Dennis Weathersby, one of the first ones to get over there, but he was way late.
Justin Robbins with his first touchdown of his college career to tie it. Washington drives 85 yards down the field to tie it up with Oregon State. Two teams ranked in the top 25. And now kicking off Washington. Robert Prescott on the return. Prescott past the 30-yard line, still on his feet to the 35-36, where he's finally dropped. They go 8 plays in the drive, and Justin Robbins is the final result, scoring his first college touchdown.
Well, here's Robbins here, and watch, this is a game plan decision, but watch the linebacker right here. He's going to come in motion and run an out and up, but they're really going to stop and put the wide receiver on a linebacker, which you'll take any day of the week. And Robbins was one-on-one with the linebacker Nick Barnett, beat him to the end zone. Great throw by Tui.
Now Ken Simonton, not much, maybe a 2-yard gain. Patrick McCall, the new running back in the contest, number 8, and they really like his skills. I mean, he's a junior like Ken Simonton. He'll low to the ground, 5'10", 198, but he can really fly. He was a great running back at Carson High School in Southern California. Went to Michigan and then transferred. So if Oregon State goes to the Rose Bowl, he can go to the Rose Bowl with 2 different teams. Went with the Wolverines, could go with the Beavers. Oh, what a hit. Chris Massey, the nickel defensive back, redshirt freshman from Valley View High School, Moreno Valley, California.
Boy, that is a big-time hit by Massey, but Prescott, the veteran receiver, holding on to the ball. That is a great play by Prescott, holding on to it. He's an explosive player right now, creating a 3rd and 3. You saw how important that catch is. Now all of a sudden you get to a play call on for Dennis Erickson on the sheet. You might be able to run Simonton here.
McCall, though, stays in the game as the tailback. Smith to throw. Jonathan fires to a wide open tight end, Martin Maurer. He has the first down inside Washington territory.
Maurer does a nice job at the line of scrimmage. He's going to come off. He just keeps working for Jonathan Smith, the good tight end. He's a hard-working guy, good size, 6'5", 243. Reminds you a little bit of the other great tight end in the conference, Todd Heap from Arizona State.
Now Smith will run, and it is Patrick McCall, and McCall is gone. They've got 2 guys who can bring it. Ken Simonton, his backup, Patrick McCall, scoots 43 yards for the touchdown, and the Beavers back in front.
You talked about McCall a minute ago, Carson High School, and then went to Michigan, and he's really a code #1 back. I mean, he's that good of a back. He just shows his explosiveness, scoots up the field, got a couple great blocks out in front, and just hauls the lumber into the end zone.
Seska and Oregon State back in front by 7. Patrick McCall came into this game with only 118 yards rushing because he was playing behind Ken Simonton, but he blessed 43, capping a 4-play, 65-yard drive. So it's Washington's turn. It's been a game of tennis in this first quarter. Last 3 possessions, we have seen touchdowns. From the 4, Derek Johnson finds a seam. Johnson out of bounds past the 40-yard line. He has had 2 strong returns in this game. Terrell Roberts finally knocks him out of bounds.
Well, and the Washington special teams do a great job. Bobby Houck, the defensive back coach and the special teams coach. There he is, Bobby Houck on the sideline. Young-looking guy right there. Works his guys awfully hard and demands of them what Houck said a week ago versus Oregon. Oregon matched them special team for special team, and really Oregon was the one that provided the short field to their offense all game long.
Well, the true freshman Rich Alexis back in the game as the tailback with 4 seconds left, and they will give it to him. And he's got a big hole left side. Alexis, first down and more. Hey, this kid can run. That is the end of the first quarter. We've seen some good running backs, good backup running backs. Patrick McCall went 43 for the touchdown, and Oregon State leads by 7. Oregon State with the lead, Washington with the football, and already after one play at the Oregon State 44-yard line. Rich Alexis, the true freshman from Coral Springs, Florida, has 60 yards rushing on only 4 carries, and he stays in the game. Play action. Tuiasosopo must get rid of it because the one guy who did not bite was DeLawrence Grant. He just followed number 11, Tuiasosopo.
Boy, the quickness of DeLawrence Grant from defensive end. I guarantee you Marques Tuiasosopo has not seen a lot of guys run that fast, and Oregon State comes in. You see their rush yards so far, 50. Pat McCall getting a whole bunch of those. Total yards so far for Washington, 153, and Washington's gotten 89 off the ground already.
And what is interesting about that is Oregon State is 4th in the nation.
That's right, at
rush
58
defense.
yards.
58 yards allowed per game. Play action. Tuiasosopo all kinds of time, then it erodes. And good coverage from Keith Hayward Johnson. Was it too much? I believe so.
A late flag came out in the defensive backfield. Might be a defensive hold. One of the DBs holding one of the receivers. One of Oregon State's attributes on defense too, having some great DBs.
Pass interference on the defense. Ball be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Dennis Erickson not real happy with it. Watch him locked up. Hayward Johnson came back through the back of Terry Tharps, number 10. That's where the flag came out. It's a little late. Oregon State. You see Dennis Erickson on the sideline.
You know what?
Too many penalties.
That reminds me of his Miami days. The Hurricane had a lot of penalties.
That means you're playing aggressive.
Yep, they won 2 national championships for him. Tuiasosopo in trouble, and he is sacked. Sifa O'Reilly, a backup defensive end to Ladarius Jackson.
When the defensive ends are bringing it off the backside and the front side, just putting a lot of pressure on Tuiasosopo. The pocket just closes in around him. 45, O'Reilly.
Sifa's first sack this year. Tuiasosopo downfield. There's Jeremy Stevens inside the 20-yard line. Jay Cookus, another defensive back who plays in the nickel or dime situation was the man who wrapped him up, but it is another Husky first down.
Well, this is one of the things Washington was going to do. They detached the tight end, Steve. They flexed him out as a wide receiver. And when you have a big-bodied guy, 6'7", 255, let him go catch the ball. 22 catches already this year, 21 in all of last year. Washington has always had a great tradition of turning out some good tight ends, too.
Let's see if they go back to Alexis. They will. Sweeping right side. Whistles all over the place, and this may be against the defense because they are jumping in that neutral zone back and forth. We are here at Husky Stadium in Seattle, Washington. The Huskies and the Oregon State Beavers. Beavers 14-7 leaders. Offsides against OSU. No argument from Dennis this time.
Offside on the defense. 5 yards from the previous spot. Repeat down.
One thing Oregon State's defensive coordinator Craig Bray said about this, he said, take Marques Tuiasosopo's plays away. They are a speedy defense. They wanted to contain that quarterback option, but it's been the running backs, Arnold and Alexis, who have done so well. And he's gone up top. Now he's back to the option. He'll carry it himself. Marques inside the 10 to about the 8-yard line. Very close to the Verizon 1st and 10 line. James Allen on the tackle.
And just that added dimension of Tuiasosopo running the ball, that'll keep Craig Bray, the defensive coordinator of Oregon State, up a little bit in the evening, preparing for the game. You see, he averages 4.3 yards over his career. I mean, that's huge for a quarterback. He has the tools to play at the next level. Of course, his father, Manu Tuiasosopo, a UCLA All-American, and also a great pro with the 49ers and the Seahawks.
They will run up the middle. They get the first down. Braxton Clement, the tailback, turned fullback with the carry, and he rifles his way all the way past the 5-yard line, where he's finally knocked down by Jake Cookus.
Dennis Erickson told me before the game tonight, this is going to be a very physical game, very emotional, very physical. They know that Washington's going to try to run between the tackles, take advantage of their size differential, and they played a great emotional game a week ago versus top-rated USC defense and really got after them. And I want to tell you, that Oregon State defense, they can run, but they're not as big and physical as that Washington offensive line.
Someone moved in that offensive line, and I believe we're coming back. The Huskies will be penalized 5 yards. They had a left guard jerk up too quickly. Center may have moved his shoulder as well.
Dead ball. That's fine. Delay the game on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
You know, games are won and lost at the line of scrimmage, and even though you're bigger and heavier, averaging about 315 pounds across that Washington offensive front, the Oregon defensive line, you see them not quite as big, but boy, the quickness factor and speed factor that Oregon State has tends to neutralize the size advantage sometimes.
Now Paul Arnold back into Tuiasosopo, quarterback draw to the 5, to the 1. Richard Siegler made the touchdown saving tackle. But this is why he is so dangerous, and Rick Neuheisel told us, and to think that I recruited him at Colorado to play safety.
Yeah, well, big number 71, Chad Ward, got a great block in there. Ward only goes about 335 pounds, bench presses over 500 pounds, squats over 700 pounds. He's just one of those tiny mites up front.
Stevens goes in motion. Alexis in for the touchdown. Hey, I think we have a star is born.
Boy, watch, 51 comes flying over the top. Alexis comes flying over his fullback. That's great football. And if you're a football purist, you always like those big goal line stands. You gotta like the guys flying over the top for the score.
That is getting after it. John Anderson, point after, ties the game. Oregon State, the number 23 team in the nation, tied with number 13 Washington. Alexis for a yard and the tying score. There he is, Rich Alexis, the kid from Haiti, just went over for the touchdown. And Rich Alexis scores that touchdown, his second in his college career. An 8-play drive, 57 yards. Alexis is a young man. They really felt that was built like Reuben Drones, who we saw last year with Oregon. Just a terrific runner, hard-nosed, tough inside runner. But this guy has speed, too, to get to the outside.
I know if he runs like Reuben Drones, someone's going to be happy.
Rick Neuheisel. 2 yards deep, Ricky Walker. Fumble! Oregon State gets it back. Jake Cookus. Well, here's a team, Rams, that is #1 in turnover ratio this year, and they almost turned it over to Washington.
That's right. They lead the nation. Plus 2.5 a game. Cookus right there to fall on the ball.
Well, Verizon presents First and 10 all season long on Fox Sports Net College Football Saturday. Verizon making the world of communications a whole lot simpler. It's that Verizon yellow line which indicates first down where Oregon State must go. From the 15, play action pass. Jonathan Smith deep. The catch is made by Chad Johnson. Tell you, Smith's got it going again.
Smith has it going because they do a great job of play action, and it allows Chad Johnson to just beat his man Amari Lowe on the post. Watch him come out of his break. The ball's thrown right between the hash marks, and Johnson goes up big for it. Just had great position on Lowe the whole time, and threw his hip into it, came down with a big catch.
At the Huskies 48, Simonton. And we haven't seen much of Kenny. I mean, he's averaging 32 carries per game. You think they should go back to that run game?
And I think he's going to probably get real close to his 30 carries a game. I think they've done a great job at the beginning of the game. They didn't necessarily show a lot of their run game. A lot of play action, a lot of move pocket for Jonathan Smith. They're able to put 14 points on the board. Of course, they had a great run by Pat McCall as well. But Kenny Simonton's going to get his 25, 30 carries. He's a resilient guy. I asked him before the game, too. He's awfully healthy, feels fresh.
But I think they'll play McCall a little more just to make sure he's healthy by November. They rip him down here. And oh, what a defensive play that is made by Ben Madavi. Let's go to Lisa Miloski.
Well, Steve, you're talking about Kenny Simonton. He is wearing a special pair of molded cleats tonight. In fact, I just found out that Nike made the pair especially for him for this game. They only have one pair. I asked if I could show you what they look like, but he's wearing them. I talked to him before the game, and he said he wasn't so sure what to wear on this turf, but apparently the shoes are working. Steve?
He's split out to the right with those magic slippers right now. 4 wideouts. Smith shotgun. Oh, and he's sacked. Greg Carruthers with a big blitz from his defensive back position. The true freshman from Helena, Montana. That's their 14th sack this year, one more than they had all last year.
Boy, the offensive line just collapsed. Carruthers coming through, really kind of a delayed blitz, and you saw him just no one able to put a hat on him. He came through, put a hat on Smith.
So now Mike Fessler on for the punt on 4th and 7. Derek Johnson standing at his 10. Fessler will allow Johnson to get the return, but not much. Down near the 16-yard line after a 39-yard punt by Mike Fessler. We are tied at 14. The rain's supposed to come tomorrow, but we have been really enjoying fabulous weather the last 2 days. And not a cloud in the sky, temperatures in the mid-60s. A beautiful night for college football in the Pacific Northwest. Here is Marques Tuiasosopo going deep downfield, and it is incomplete. Intended for Terry Tharps. He was picking on the great Dennis Weathersby, who made all Pac-10 last year as a true freshman.
Weathersby really is a good cornerback. He locks on with Tharps, and Tharps just doesn't have that burst of speed to get out there right now and make that catch. And it is great coverage. It's awfully hard if you've even ever tried running half speed trying to catch a football. Maybe some people run it down the block, but Marques Tuiasosopo, a great throw that time, but incomplete.
From the 15, Tuiasosopo knows he will get a heated rush. They're showing 5. They bring it. Tuiasosopo throws, and it is incomplete. And he has to watch out. He has 7 interceptions this year. They have the most turnovers in the Pac-10 going against a team that has forced the most turnovers in Oregon State.
I think part of it is when you start deep in your own territory, Steve, you don't like those balls to come out or interceptions thrown, but it's happened to Washington a couple times this year deep in their own end.
Rick Neuheisel has seen his quarterback Tuiasosopo throw 2 interceptions in each of his last 3 games, now on a 3rd and 10. Blitz, dump off, Arnold, great catch. Arnold gets the first down. How did Tuiasosopo see that guy? And then Arnold juggles it and gets the 1st and 10.
Somehow Paul Arnold just came up with a great catch. He lines up in the backfield. They just kind of throw a screen out to him, almost just a little flat pattern, and he gets rocked by Terrence Carroll. Came up, made a nice tackle, but boy, that's just a great catch by Paul Arnold. Fingertip catch.
I tell you, Tuiasosopo got it from Ladarius Jackson. He went right down on the back of his jersey. 7 for 12. He's thrown the touchdown. Flag is down. This may go against Oregon State as Alexis back in the game. And this guy, he doesn't run like he's only played football 1 year.
He's got some fresh legs, and I tell you, he runs hard. Wait on the call by Jim Vogelstance.
Offsides on the defense. Penalty declined. 1st down.
That's a nice job. Use of cadence again by Marques Tuiasosopo. Anytime you got a real pressure defense, they're getting off the ball quick. A veteran quarterback, change up the cadence a little bit. That's okay. You take an offsides call all day long. You'll either get 1st and 5, or if you run the play like Washington just did, they ran a nice playoff tackle and were able to get a 1st down.
And they now have 116 yards rushing against the #1 rush defense in the conference, allowing just 58 yards per game. They've almost doubled that. Tuiasosopo, Braxton Clement, big hole, another 1st down inside Beaver territory to the 40. Darnell Robinson on the tackle.
Nice job by Braxton Clement, who lined up in the fullback position, and that's part of the element of that option. You have the fullback coming right up the middle, or you have Tuiasosopo pressuring the end, who's optioning that end man on the line of scrimmage to get the ball to the tailback. Nice job by Clement that time.
But they may lose a better blocker with Pat Conniff's knee injury, but they get a fine receiver. Here's Clement now coming out of the backfield, and he might be the secret weapon, because they weren't preparing for the fullback to see so much action, and he has really played well. Alexis, another big hole. Rich to the 20 and out of bounds. Neuheisel was determined to get his running game going. Right now, you have to give him an A+.
Well, last year they had 6 100-yard performances. This season, Washington has not had a 100-yard rusher. I think it's imperative to get Rich Alexis going. He's done a great job of getting going. The offensive line has really stepped up to the occasion.
You're right.
And given him some holes.
He had a lot of room to run. 7 carries now for 87 yards for the true freshman from Florida. 3 wide right side. Plenty of options for Marques. Oh, timeout call. This was their second they have used in the half.
Timeout.
Jeremy Stevens had
Washington,
lined up
second timeout
split,
of the half.
and Tuiasosopo wanted him in. He saw the clock winding down. He said, let's take timeout. They have one more before intermission. Kevin Frazier, Kellen Winslow, Artie Gigantino, and those guys will be happy because they'll be ready to talk about. I know Kellen wants to talk about this tight end, Jeremy Stevens, who's now splitting out like Winslow used to do with the Chargers. Tuiasosopo looked left, goes right. No, he's out of bounds. Todd Elstrom.
Elstrom not the fastest of the receivers, but the most sure-handed. And he's tall at 6'3" and 200 pounds. He just tries to out-jump the defensive back and unable to come down with it. I don't
Check his feet out.
It's close. He's out of bounds.
Sorry.
Referee right there to make the call. But I like the fact they split Stevens out. They put a little more pressure on the defense that way.
Tuiasosopo on the delay. Paul Arnold smashes in there, gets to the 14-yard line, just a gain of 4, so it'll be 3rd down, and they will still need about 6-7 yards to go. How about this drive? 9 plays, 67 yards, and you said you thought both teams wanted to establish the run. Washington sure has.
Well, when you establish the run, you establish the time of possession. And Washington, when they own the time of possession in a game, they end up playing awfully darn well.
150 yards rushing. 3rd down. Tuiasosopo. Well, he has his man, but well shy of a 1st down, and boy, was Todd Elstrom drilled. Richard Siegler, the middle linebacker, and Darnell Robinson wrap him up.
And just a moment ago, you know, interesting talking about the rush game and time of possession under Neuheisel. UW is 9-0 when they win that time of possession stat. John Anderson, see his numbers so far.
From 27 yards out, Anderson, it is up. And it is good, and Washington has the lead 17-14 over Oregon State. When we return, we'll send you back to Kevin Frazier at our College Football Saturday studio with a preview of our Nissan halftime report. The biggest crowd in the series history between Oregon State and Washington, 73,145, but they haven't had a game of this importance. I'm telling you, like 35 years. 2 teams in the national rankings for both Washington and Oregon State. Here's the kickoff return. Robert Prescott brings it out across the 20-yard line. I mean, the last time Oregon State won in Seattle was 1985. 21-20 was the final score. And do you know who was the guy who helped win the game? A guy by the name of Andre Todd blocked a kick that allowed Oregon State to win. Do you know who Andre Todd's nephew is? Ken Simonton, the running back for the Beavers. The All-American. Here goes Simonton. Simonton. Oh, he's quick. And he gets the 1st down and about 3 more. Let's go to Lisa Milosky.
Thanks, Steve. When Marques Tuiasosopo came off the field, he was not a happy camper. He went up to tailback Paul Arnold and said, "You've got to hit that hole. It was there." He said, "You're too good not to hit it." Steve?
Boy, that is like him too. He is not afraid to get in a teammate's face. They run Simonton again. He is to the 40-yard line. Simonton with a gain of about 6. Ben Mandavi, the side linebacker, on the tackle. Simonton now with 26 yards rushing on just 7 carries. He's a guy who averages 177 yards per game. Ran for 234 in a victory over USC last week. That was his career best. Simonton, he breaks a tackle. Here's a guy, Tom, 5 feet 7 inches tall, but he's strong.
Oh, he's strong, and I'll tell you, it is amazing how hard he gets hit. This is a great look from the end zone. Watch the big tackle, the big guard. They're going to pull guard tackle, but watch Kenny Simonton take a little jab step. They run this counter action. All of a sudden, they pull the big guard, the big tackle. They got counter. Oh, he gets stoned by the outside corner. Von Tour coming down on a crash. And Simonton bounces off and still gets big yards.
Enough for the first down. So they run Kenny again. He spins by 1. He's to the 50. Another 5-yard gain. You know, you really were impressed. We were watching video yesterday. Oregon State's win over USC. 1:18 left in the game, and you showed it back. They had 9 in the box, and he went for 36 yards. The whole defense designed to stop 35.
Yeah, you see his big numbers there. Second in the nation. Steve, teams commit to trying to stop Oregon State. I mean, they put 8-9 guys in the box, as you said, on a 3rd and 3 versus SC. He rumbles 36 yards for a touchdown.
Patrick McCall in now, and the pass was low by Jonathan Smith, incomplete, and it will be 3rd down and 5.
At least being able to pick up yards on 1st down, they're able to give themselves a chance on 3rd down. 3rd and 5, 3:25 left in the half. You want to get a score on the board if you're Oregon State. This becomes a very big conversion. You want to gain some momentum before you leave the end of the first half.
Simonton comes back in. Jonathan Smith, the junior from Glendora, California. 1 for 3, converting 3rd downs. He drops the football. The passing game has been minus this year, even though they are 4-0. They've only completed 43% of their passes. And now Smith comes away from the center, drops the football, covers it himself. It is 4th down, and Mike Fessler comes on to punt it to Derek Johnson. Johnson, the true freshman from Riverside. Fessler hits it to him. Johnson from the 16, and what do we have? Whistle blew actually before Johnson even caught the football.
Well, they're going to say Johnson put his hand up as a fair catch, and as soon as you put your hand above your shoulder pads, the referees are going to call it a fair catch. Now remember, he's a rookie.
He wasn't, though. His hands were up to catch the football.
Well, I know, but it appeared to the referee, and they want to protect that returner. As soon as he puts his hand above his shoulder pads, and Bob Houck over there, the special teams coach, telling him, hey, keep your arms below your shoulder pads.
But you know what I don't like about that? Next time he goes out to receive a punt, he's going to be thinking, where are my hands? Rather than catch the football. Catch the football. That's the first, then run. From the 15-yard line, Alexis, the running back. They'll run the fullback, and this is Braxton Clement. Braxton, he called it a fair catch. I still don't think he did.
Well, I think he questioned it.
Oh,
see right
the
there?
left hand.
Yeah, the left hand goes up. And, you know, as soon as that arm goes up above the shoulder pads, they have to say, hey, fair catch.
So apologize to Jim Fogeltanz's crew. He did throw up the left arm. Paul Arnold comes back in. Tuiasosopo in trouble, dumps it off to Arnold. They've got the same screenplay set up that got him a first down last time. It gets another here. You know, they're expecting those rush ins to come so hard, and when they get there so quickly, it allows a whole area to open up.
Two things you do to neutralize quick defensive ends. One is a hard count, try to draw them off sides. The second, throw screens. Let them come up the field. All of a sudden, you got some blockers out front. And Marques Tuiasosopo is doing a great job managing the offense and getting the ball to the open receiver.
10 of 16 now for 124 yards and has thrown for a touchdown. He'll dump it off again. Arnold. He went the wrong way. He had a chance to at least get back to the line of scrimmage, but messed it up. Second down, 15. Arnold. Ball gets about 10 back, so it'll be third down and 5. Paul, the sophomore from Seattle Kennedy, he was the All-American and just a terrific player. Kennedy ran for almost 2,000 yards his senior year and 32 touchdowns, and he was the real find for Rick Neuheisel.
First time out of the half.
3rd and 5, you just want to get a first down here. Clock will stop as they move the chains. And Marques Tuiasosopo's done a nice job finding the open guy tonight. They flexed out the big tight end, Jeremy Stevens, a few times. I think now you put a little pressure on the defense. Maybe flex Stevens out again, which they're not going to do, but they do have Elstrom, the big body receiver, in the slot right here.
Arnold off to the left side. Tuiasosopo looking for him. Now must scramble. There goes Marques. Inside Beaver territory. First down with 42 seconds left. He says everybody to the line of scrimmage. They will stop the clock until they move the chains. 18 yards in the run by Tuiasosopo. Well, he really is a weapon. He's looking downfield. Complete to the 31, Todd Elstrom. His 3rd catch tonight, 16 yards, another first down. Move the chains.
And you still have 1 timeout. You save that for bringing on your field goal team, but keep moving as long as you got the clock in your favor, with the clock stopping with a first down.
Elstrom in the slot. Tuiasosopo dumping it off to Stevens. Even closer now to the 20. Boy, they really have had a nice march to end this first half.
Very nice job managing the clock by Marques Tuiasosopo. That's got to make Rick Neuheisel very happy. The senior quarterback showing great feel for the offense and able to distribute the ball to a couple of his big playmakers.
You know, that is the advantage of having a coach who's a former quarterback. Dennis Erickson was one at Montana State, Neuheisel at UCLA. Quarterbacks are always conscious of that clock.
And one of the things that happened today in the country, when we were sitting there watching the Florida State-Miami game, Bobby Bowden kept his eye on the clock. With 7 minutes in the game, they were running a hurry-up offense, which I loved. Another first down for UW. But Chris Wenke put on an aerial circus. He spread the ball all over the field, but hey, you got to give credit where credit is due. Miami came back. Look at the first downs. Washington with 20 so far this evening. We're just still in the first half.
Against the #1 defense in the conference in Oregon State. Tuiasosopo, blitz in his face from Robinson. Elstrom incomplete, no flags. Cookus and Carlisle both in the area.
Well, Carlisle was locked up on Elstrom in the slot. They tried to throw the corner, and Marques Tuiasosopo did the right thing. Got a lot of air underneath it, put it out in front of the receiver, and number 32, Calvin Carlisle, who is the free safety in the standard defense, but he's able to come up in 3 wide receiver sets and play that middle receiver just as a cornerback would. So that gives Oregon State an added dimension at safety.
I like that no call. 14 seconds left, 2nd and 10 from the 21. Tuiasosopo will run it to the 10, to the 6, He calls timeout. 8 seconds left. Rams, what do you do? One shot?
Well, well, you could take one quick shot into the end zone.
One fade.
You take one fade, maybe you throw it to number 14, but watch Tuiasosopo, the added dimension of his legs, and I think this is the prototypical quarterback in the NFL. I think Marques Tuiasosopo has a great feel for the game, knows when to run, protects himself, and right there, Rick Neuheisel saying, hey, let's go ahead and take a shot at it. You know you got to get the ball and get rid of it right away.
We asked Rick Neuheisel about his quarterback, Marques Tuiasosopo.
As a former quarterback, I certainly marvel at his skills. He can affect the game in so many ways. He's got great throwing arm. He's got great vision. What he doesn't have in terms of the throwing piece is experience.
Well, he's got the experience now. He is a senior. He had to back up Brock Huard his first 2 years at Washington. How about that game? First and goal, 8 seconds left.
And you got Stevens right there at the bottom of the screen.
The fade to Stevens, incomplete. And here comes the field goal team.
Why not take a shot? Perfect call. You got a guy who's 6'7" going against a guy who's 5'11". But I'll take that matchup. Just give him a chance. That's what Steve Axman right there, the quarterback coach, and Rick Neuheisel were telling Marques, hey, just give him a chance.
John Anderson, who has hit 3 from beyond 50. This is a very short one from just 23 yards out. It is on the way, and he knocks it through. Washington goes up by 6, 20-14. A beautifully engineered drive to end the half for a field goal by Marques Tuiasosopo. Well, one of the big plays, Alexis over the top, his second college touchdown. The true freshman has been a big reason that they have run for 196 yards in the first half. Let's go down to Lisa Milosky, who's with the Washington coach.
Coach, you told us before the game that in order to win this game, Washington needed to find a running game. So far, so good. In fact, a nice performance by your young tailback, Rich Alexis. Can we expect more of the same in the second half?
Well, we're finding a nice 1-2 punch with he and Paul Arnold, and we've got to keep this defense off balance. They're a very fast defense up the field, so the screen and draw game hopefully can keep us alive.
Well, it was a great first half. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the second half. Now with the score, Washington up 20-14. Let's send you to Kevin Frazier in the College Football Saturday studio for the Nissan halftime report. Kevin?
Lisa, thanks a lot. Seems like every week our late game is such a thriller. Welcome inside the College Football Saturday studio in Los Angeles. The Nissan halftime report. As always, I'm joined by my partners, my guys, Kellen Winslow and Artie Gigantino. And Kellen, at the top of this game, you said that Washington must rush the ball. Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. They got a huge advantage on that offensive line, 314 pounds across the front average. Already last year when they beat Oregon State, they rushed for over 245 yards. Now they've got 196 in the first half.
Yeah, this is the most physical I've seen Washington look all year. And it's also the best I've seen Tuiasosopo look. He's running the draws. He's throwing the ball to the outside. He's really got that Oregon State defense off balance. I'm really impressed, though, with the speed of the Beavers on defense. I just think they're getting worn down a little bit here, especially in the second quarter.
Be interesting to see. I think they might have enough gas.
It is an absolutely beautiful evening in Seattle, Washington. We are here at Husky Stadium. You look at the Space Needle, and all eyes, 73,000 of them, watching this game as the Huskies leading the Beavers 20-14. Steve Physiak along with Tom Ramsey, and two stats have to trouble Dennis Erickson, Oregon State's coach. The rushing battle, time of possession battle. When Washington wins both those battles, Rick Neuheisel's teams have never lost.
Well, they sure do. When you rush, they've almost rushed for almost 200 yards in the first half alone, 196 for the Huskies thus far, and they almost have controlled the ball for 19 minutes, over 19 minutes. You see right there, 21 first downs for the Huskies, 341 total yards, and I know Neuheisel asked of his offensive line when he came into the game, hey, you got to win the game up front.
20 minutes time of possession for Washington, just 10 for Oregon State. Hey, Lisa Milosky, what do you have?
Well, I spoke with Oregon State coach Dennis Erickson, who said we must play better defensively. He said they're running up and down the field on us, and he said, and they're converting on third down plays. He said we must control the ball time-wise as well. Tom, as you pointed out, the Huskies had the ball about 20 minutes. The Beavers half that, 10 minutes. But Dennis Erickson did say, we're fine, we're going to be just fine. Steve?
They trail only by 6 points, and they will be getting the football first because they won the coin toss and they deferred to the second half. So Washington will be kicking off, going from the north end zone to the south. Ricky Walker is back deep, along with Robert Prescott. Walker past the 20, and he is out near the 29-yard line. Well, Ken Simonton, one of the top running backs in the nation, where have they sent him? 2 times to the left. They tried the middle 5 times for 26, the right side for 10 yards on 2 carries. So really only 9 carries for Ken Simonton and 37 yards. 140 under his game average of 177. Let's see if they go to Simonton early in this second half. Oregon State down by 6 points. Jonathan Smith, the former walk-on quarterback, at the controls. He goes to Ken, and Ken's so slippery, gains about 7 yards past the 35-yard line. Ken, the junior from Pittsburgh, California, already the all-time rushing leader in Oregon State history with over 3,200. Smith in the first half must get his passing game going. 5 of 10 for 123 and the touchdown, but again only 43% on the season.
And he's under a 50% thrower in his career. They don't mind if he's winning games and not having a high percentage.
Simonton, big hole. Here goes Ken past the midfield stripe, and he has the first down to the Husky 49. Hakeem Akbar making a touchdown saving tackle, but that's 14 more for Kenny.
Watch his elusiveness up front. They just put big on big right there, and he's able to get through a tiny hole. Mandavi 41 not able to fill it. Kenny Simonton, I tell you, I would give him the ball repeatedly, coming off a 234-yard career game against SC. Just keep giving him the carries.
11 now for 59 yards, and here is his 12th carry. And look at how he goes. I mean, they will get shots on him, but he has such strong legs and great vision that he just finds the seam and cracks through for another couple more.
Simonton has been amazing in his career. As you said, he's the leading rusher in Oregon State history. He's also rushed for over 100 yards 16 times in his Oregon State career, and that's a record as well. So he's just putting an assault on the record books, but he's just been such a force for the offense. He allows him to throw the ball downfield when they're rushing effectively.
Here they go to number 35 again. First down inside the 40 to the 36. I mean, only 5 players in Pac-10 history have rushed for 1,000 yards in 3 seasons. Kenny is on his way this year.
And one of the guys they've been having to neutralize up front is Larry Triplett. Watch him, the big defensive lineman, the center and the guard working at him. Chris Gibson, the center, went low, and then he just got locked up with big Robert Sykes, who goes about 340 pounds. That looked like Fridge.
And the shotgun, Smith looks to throw. Oh, he had Martin Maurer wide open. And Tom, here's another situation. We were talking with Tim Lopano yesterday, and he said it's Jonathan's footwork. And then we even went back to the 98 footage when he threw for 469 yards against Washington on what he was doing differently.
Well, one of the things he was doing differently, he was overthrowing and really striding out too far, but when he got pressure, being a smaller quarterback, not being a 6-foot quarterback, he's always looking for a lane to throw in, and when there's big guys, it's tough to see. You just need to separate from the defensive line a little more.
Simonton back in, but the throw, and he is sacked at the 40-yard line. Smith dropped by Marcus Roberson, the junior from Walnut, California. Ben Madavi, who was blitzing on the play in his outside linebacker position.
Watch Triplett again just come through. He just shakes the defensive lineman. The guard, the running back Simonton tried to block him well, but credit that one, a pressure sack. Larry Triplett was the man coming free, putting the pressure on Jonathan Smith.
So 3rd down and 13, 3 wide. Washington brings forward, now a 5th, and here comes trouble, and Smith goes down at the 46. Tyler Crambrink, a backup inside linebacker, just a redshirt freshman, delayed for a moment, Rams, and then shot through.
Well, they know where number 70 is. Again, watch him. He gets triple teamed here, but they're playing some games inside. They're looping and stunting. Triplett again goes head on. They're putting a lot of hats on him, and they're holding him pretty good too.
But you really can't blame the play call. The only time they did throw on 1st down after running Simonton, they had their tight end Martin Maurer wide open. And here's Butler out past the 24-yard line. But Smith was unable to find his tight end. And still, Oregon State trails by 6. That is the city tonight. Seattle, Washington, a beautiful evening. Everything clear. The rain's not supposed to be here tomorrow. Until tomorrow, and here at Husky Stadium, where you're looking at Lake Washington, where all of the sailboats come in, drop anchor, and they come in and watch great college football game like tonight as Paul Arnold on his first carry rushes to the 30, gain of 6. It'll be 2nd and 4. First half possession started slowly, then Tuiasosopo got it going. 2 touchdowns on possessions 3 and 4, and then a couple of field goals, one as time ran out to end the first half. And Marques Tuiasosopo, who is the real superstar on the team, in the first half he threw for 145 yards and that long touchdown pass to his true freshman Justin Robbins. Arnold steps up in there. Paul gets the 1st down, and he is out past the 35-yard line, where he's wrapped up by Ladarius Jackson. But Tuiasosopo, so clever. Now a senior, he'll throw to everybody. 4 to his wideouts, 3 to his tight ends. Then when he saw the blitz, he would dump it off to his running back. 6 catches for 49 yards.
And part of those 6 throws to the backs were some very well-timed screen passes, really taking the rush of Oregon State and taking it and putting it in their advantage, letting those ends rush upfield.
Look at his eyes reading that defense. Right now showing a 4-man front. They are showing blitz from Nick Barnett, but Barnett holds. Tuiasosopo throws, and the catch made by Todd Elstrom. So Tuiasosopo again nearing about 60% completion mark. He was at 49 coming in.
Marcus has put up extremely good numbers throughout his career. This year he hasn't thrown for the high percentage, but he also is missing a couple key receivers. Chris Juergens was deemed not healthy at the beginning of the year and unable to play, and that was a big loss for the Husky offense, a big wideout.
They'll run their tailback, Paul Arnold, and he is stuck and hit hard and driven down by Eric Manning, the defensive tackle from Compton.
And Steve, one other player that the Husky offense was missing was Jawarren Hooker, who ran on the Olympic team this past year in Sydney just a few weeks back. And even though he didn't win a medal, he was part of the Olympic team. He may probably come back for Coach Rick Neuheisel's Huskies next year. He's a great playmaker, and he also spreads the field. Right now, a 3rd and 3 for the Huskies.
Very young wide receivers. Arnold lined up as one of the wideouts. Tuiasosopo with time, fires, broken up beautifully. That's Dennis Weathersby again. If he doesn't knock it down, Elstrom had a lot of green in front of him.
Well, he did. I like that Oregon State just matched up across the board. Watch as Tuiasosopo tries to get the ball delivered right now. They give Weathersby a little too much time. Weathersby had the hand on Elstrom's hip. Nice look at quarterback and receiver. Elstrom looking for the flag.
It's his wingspan. Weathersby's wingspan. He's 6'1", tall, 6 feet 1 inches tall, but his wingspan is about 6 feet 7, 6 feet 8. Ryan Fleming in for the punt. TJ Hushmanzada inside the 15. And TJ hit once, breaks free, and finally dropped on a shoestring tackle by Hakeem Akbar. 20-14, number 13 over number 23. How about Dennis Erickson? In his 16 games in less than 2 years at Oregon State, the Beavers have ended a 34-year bowl drought, a 28-year string of losing seasons, and a 26-game losing streak to USC. And now they are 4-0 for the first time since 1957, off to a 4-0 start. Here they come with a chance to take the lead if they can go 90 yards. After an infraction on the punt, they had to be pushed back another 10 yards. Martin Maurer with the catch out to the 19-yard line. Very close to a first down. It will be 2nd and 1.
And Steve, if you're Dennis Erickson, one of the guys you have to thank is Mike Riley, the coach of the San Diego Chargers, who was the coach at Oregon State that preceded Dennis Erickson. And Mike Riley responsible for a lot of those players in the program right now that are performing so well for the Beavers.
Well, he loves it. He said before the season last year that bringing a winner to Oregon State would be the biggest accomplishment of his career, rivaling his 2 national titles at Miami in 1988 and 1999, 1991. So he has done a wonderful job. He has a backup running back, Patrick McCall, backs up Ken Simonton. But look at that, since 95, then they go 2-9, 3-8 under Mike Riley, getting better and better. 5-6 in Mike's last year, and then Erickson comes in, goes 7-5. You know the last time that Oregon State started a year 5-0? 1939.
Pretty amazing. What's interesting about Dennis Erickson and Keith Gilbertson too, as you see, it's very short. In 1991, when Miami won the national championship, Keith Gilbertson was the offensive coordinator for the University of Washington. You got to realize they're the very best of friends. Erickson said before the game, hey, I was really happy for both of us during that time.
And he is his offensive coordinator once again. 3rd and inches. Will it be McCall? Yes. And he gets the first down, even though he was really stuffed by Curtis Williams, but Williams could not push him back.
Dennis Erickson also a godparent to one of Keith Gilbertson's kids, and the other godparent is Dan Cazzetto, the running backs coach for Oregon State. Funny that Cazzetto sent a couple gifts this week to the Gilbertson family.
All in the family.
A couple little Beaver mascots that just happen to play the fight song repeatedly.
Play action. Smith going deep. Incomplete. And there's no flags.
And I like that the flag didn't come out there. It's just athletes running full speed. There is a little contact down the field, but Chad Johnson racing for the post. A little play action to try and hold the safeties. They're trying to get the ball over Akbar's head. See Johnson just laying out for it, but Von Tour right there on the coverage, number 23.
Akbar, the free safety, already has 12 tackles. He's number 9. Off on the left side near the 30-yard line. Smith again back to throw. Whips it right side. Hushmanzada breaks free and then sits down right at the 30. It'll be 3rd down and short.
Boy, Hushmanzada is a big target, 6'2", 211 senior, and he was a JC transfer coming in from Cerritos College. Hushmanzada doing a great job as a punt returner as well, but 4.5 catches per game this year. That's 6th in the Pac-10. But he's a big body receiver, a big target to throw to, and right now it allows Oregon State another short 3rd down opportunity, 3rd and 2.
Smith, McCall, ooh, he was straightened up, pushed back. I believe the mark should give him the first down. What a stick.
Just a ferocious hit. Pat McCall Pat McCall, watch him. He goes airborne right here. He follows the big guard and tackle. Bam! That was Hakeem Akbar, the free safety number 9 that just came up. They're going to measure again.
You can see that Verizon line. It is a first down. Akbar on the tackle is 13th of the night. He had 14 last week against Oregon, but you don't want your secondary people with that many stops. That means they're getting healthy yardage, 6, 7, 8 yards.
And both these teams have a great pairs of safeties. Washington Huskies, Curtis Williams, number 25, the strong safety, and of course Akbar, number 9.
McCall skips to the outside, breaks another tackle and dives forward, diving toward the Verizon line. Let's go to Melissa Milosky.
Thanks, Steve. Coach Dennis Erickson told me before the game that he took his players to a private showing at a theater this morning, 10 o'clock after breakfast, of Remember the Titans, movie of the college football team in Virginia, integrated in the early 1970s. Ken Simonton told me he thought it was a great movie, very inspirational, about a team coming together to win a championship. That's what the Beavers want this year. Steve?
Saw that movie just last weekend with my family, and it was terrific and very inspiring. And Oregon State has played inspired football tonight. It's always interesting the choices coaches make to get their clubs fired up for the big games.
Anything to motivate them. And Keith Gilbertson was the featured speaker this week for the Husky coaching staff, coming into the ball game with the Beavers, and talk about some of those Pacific Northwest ties. Get those players amped up a little bit.
From the 42, they play action to McCall. Then they throw it to Prescott, and Prescott open. Akbar has to make a touchdown saving play to knock him out of bounds.
Jonathan Smith has done a nice job all evening keeping the ball away from the defenders, and right there he's able to deliver the ball on time to Robert Prescott. Doing a great job reading the defense. Prescott just breaks across the middle. He's right there. Makes a nice catch. Nice run after catch.
First and goal from the 9 after the 34-yard play. Smith to Prescott. McCall, 5, 4, 3-yard line. Finally stopped by Jamon Willis, the outside linebacker. Akbar again with another tackle. He's got 15 now.
I like Pat McCall. Rick Neuheisel really doesn't like him right now, but of course he came out of Carson High School, played at the University of Michigan, earned a championship ring with the Wolverines.
A chance to tie. Second and goal from the 3. McCall in there, right to the goal line. Had he been able to free his arm, it looked like he might have been able to stretch that ball over, but it was being held back by a Washington Husky, Darrell Daniels.
And what's interesting, Jamon Willis, number 6, right there on the tackle as well, to put the stop on McCall. What's interesting about Willis, they were teammates at Carson High School down in Southern California, putting a hat on his old buddy.
Third and goal from the 1. Hushmanzada in motion. McCall, no. There is a flag down though. That hurts. Instead of 4th and inches, it'll be 3rd down. Actually, decision time.
Actually doesn't hurt him as bad as you think.
Because they've got still a play to take rather than decision for field goal or touchdown.
It puts a little pressure on the Washington defense.
Neuheisel wants to take it.
Illegal formation. on the offense, 6 men on the line. Be 5-yard penalty, repeat third down.
And they'll push him back. They'll push him back 5 yards and make him replay third down. But I think it gives Oregon State a little more opportunity, a little more room to work with in the red zone. Allows you to get into another formation and not have those big tight ends. You can run 2 wide receivers, which they're doing.
Hushmanzada in motion, and another flag goes down.
And that's the crowd factor working for you right there. The crowd really starting to liven up, put a little pressure on that Oregon State offense.
Dead ball, false start on the offense. 5 yards, still third down.
It helped Oregon State in their victory over USC last week. It hurt Washington in their loss at noisy Oregon last week.
Sandoval, the big left tackle, he's going to move. He can't hear. He's trying to watch the ball. He just gets off balance.
And listen to this Husky Stadium. 3rd and goal from now the 11. Timeout. Timeout, Beavers.
Oregon State, first time out of the half.
And Jonathan Smith said, I can't hear, and my guys can't hear me when I shout. They were working on silent counts this week. They had noise at Corvallis, but it just is not the same. We'll be right back. 3rd and goal from the Washington 11. Jonathan Smith looking, firing, touchdown! Hushmanzada, a great throw by Jonathan Smith, and Oregon State ties this game at 20.
A rifle shot out of the arm of Jonathan Smith. Watch him, he gets pressure, steps up, sets his feet, and then just zips the ball out to Hushmanzada. He just put that on a rope.
Seska for the lead. Oregon State back in front. TJ Hushmanzada with the touchdown catch on a 3rd and goal from the 11-yard line. After 2 penalties had pushed them back, Hushmanzada with the catch.
Huge, 11 plays, 89 yards, taking 4:34 off the clock. Boy, that's impressive.
I knew I was going up. What's up? A taunting call on him, and he raced towards that sideline. Here's the kickoff from the 1. Derek Johnson still on his feet to the 30-yard line. Let's see that last touchdown again.
Well, just a real stellar call. Tim Lopano and Dennis Erickson, Jonathan Smith and TJ Hushmanzada, just a square out to Hushmanzada. Then he gets up and he starts, quiet the crowd. Oh.
I like the side judge coming and said, young man, stop it right now. He did stop, so he didn't throw the flag. There's Jonathan Smith. 9 of 16, he came in 43% of the season, but better than that, and 198 yards. Another big game here at Husky Stadium. And there's Rich Alexis for about 5.
And one of the things Rick Neuheisel talked about as he left the field at halftime was the great 1-2 punch that they delivered in that first half. Rich Alexis and Paul Arnold. There's Randy Hart right there, the defensive line coach, talking to his guys. They're getting held. They know it. Shake loose. Randy Hart, an offensive guard on some of Woody Hayes' great teams. National champions back in '68. Randy Hart and I were talking before the game. I said, the guys are just too big. And he says, yeah, and fast too now.
Tuiasosopo will keep it, and he is wrapped up. But Ryan Atkinson and Eric Manning have really done a fine job on that interior. Washington over 200 yards rushing on the evening, 213. But it's really not the fault of Manning and Atkinson. They've controlled the middle. A lot of it has come from the outside. 3rd and 7 for Tuiasosopo.
This is what Oregon State and Craig Bray, the defensive coordinator, like. This pressure defense. They've held Washington on 3rd downs tonight, only 3 for 7. But look for them to play aggressive and bring someone on the blitz.
Both wide outs to the left. Play action. Tuiasosopo fires and completes the pass to Justin Robbins. Robbins has the first down. Robbins had the touchdown in the first half. And the true freshman from Olympia, Washington, that Rick Neuhauser really feels has a great future, but he said he is just growing up. And he said this club hurt a lot. Jawan Hooker going to the Olympics, and then Chris Jurgens injuring himself.
And what he does so good, he just sits down right where he was supposed to, right on the hash marks. Marques Tuiasosopo knowing right where he is. Interestingly enough, they did not blitz last third down. They only brought 4.
Someone may have been in the neutral zone. Tuiasosopo maybe with the free play. I don't see a flag. Here goes Paul Arnold past the 50. And Arnold very close to another first down. They will mark him out at the 45. And they'll still need probably about 6 inches for a first down.
And Steve, again, the veteran quarterback doing 2 things to an aggressive defensive front. One, he's changing his cadence up. Secondly, they're throwing a lot of screens. They want those defensive ends to come up the field, take themselves out of the play, get the ball over their heads. Paul Arnold, again, doing a nice job catching the ball and running with it, picking up some blocks.
And do you know how many catches that Paul Arnold had before tonight? 2. He has 5 in this ball game already because of the play call by Neuhauser. He saw those ends coming in. They did get the first down. He got a good mark. 6 catches now for Arnold. I had him with 5, 6, excuse me. So now 8 on the season. And Washington continues this drive. Now at the Oregon State 45-yard line.
And I think if you're Washington, you want to come back and do what you did in the first half, which is run the football, take some time off the clock, try to wear down that defensive front of Oregon State.
Tuiasosopo going for the home run, incomplete to Todd Elstrom. No flag. The coverage again from Calvin Carlisle.
Carlisle is a great cover guy in the slot, coming right at you. The ball gets thrown, nice ball, gets out nicely. Carlisle again with just great position. Ball is all over the turf. Watch Carlisle, he just, ball's on the ground right there.
Yeah, it's a drop.
And it's rolling. I think Carlisle got his hand in.
I think you're right. Now 2nd and 10. Again, Tuiasosopo looking downfield, and the catch is made. Todd Elstrom, they went right back to the sure-handed receiver from Puyallup, Washington, who was a wide receiver for one of the Hewards, Luke Heward, who went to North Carolina. And the guy who's hurt, James Allen, who has a right hip problem, and he might be suffering it again.
18, Todd Elstrom right here. He has really picked up his game. Last week versus Oregon, the Ducks really neutralized him. He was not able to get free and allow Marques Tuiasosopo some opportunities. And this week, though, against the Beavers, doing a nice job.
Braxton Clement just for 2. But you're right, because Elstrom with 5 catches for 62 yards. That's 19 catches for the junior wide receiver. The tackle by Tabita Muala. There is a flag down. Well, Tabita Muala is a guy they really have been looking forward to getting back.
Dead ball foul. Unsportsmanlike conduct on the defense. 15 yards, first down.
Wow.
Well, not good sportsmanship. Number 5, Darnell Robinson, getting flagged for chewing the referee's ear, and that's one thing you just cannot do as a player at any level. Is really, you may disagree with a lot of calls they make, but you cannot voice it vociferously or you will get flagged.
So they place the ball at the 16-yard line. 1:54 remaining in the third quarter. Both of these teams have been very successful in the fourth quarter. Tuiasosopo gets the call from the sideline. He has had a terrific night, passing for 184 yards, 17 of 27 through the air.
On the play. Got a dead ball, unsportsmanlike on the defense. Dead ball, unsportsmanlike on the offense. The penalty's offset.
And you can read Rick Neuhaus's lips. Are you kidding me?
Well, that might be the latest flag I've ever seen come out.
And Rick wants to know, is it still first down? It still should be first and 10 because they just replay.
Down will be 2.
Offsetting penalties. Replay the down.
Second down, excuse me, because there was a gain of 2 by the running back, Clement. 2nd and 8.
Yeah.
So they thought they had it at the 16, now at the 31. You see Big West Call, the right tackle, 6'7", 310-pound senior from Petaluma, California. They'll try and block now as Tuiasosopo, number 11, the quarterback in the middle of your picture. And Dennis Erickson saying, hey, it's a dead ball foul. It has to be second down. They get it right. Second down, 8 yards to go. Would you go end zone here just because there's kind of
you bet.
been a lull?
You bet.
In intensity.
I think I might find Wilbur Hooks. I might take a shot deep right now. Number 7, Wilbur Hooks, going to the top of the screen, right under the Fox box.
You've got Stevens split out as well as the tight end. He'll be in single coverage.
Stevens right there in the slot.
Tuiasosopo back to throw, in trouble, steps up. He finds Elstrom. Elstrom inside the 15-yard line for a first down. Terrence Carroll, the big hitting safety, knocked him down, but Elstrom got wide open that time, Tom. And now Carlisle, who's been such a strong free safety, coming out holding his right hand.
And they did a nice job. You're going to see Elstrom come across over here, across the screen, dragging Tuiasosopo. Once again, he took a little bit off the ball right there. You saw that, put a nice handle on the ball, made it a nice catchable ball, and then Davida Mawala just came and just said, hello.
Still Washington, still driving. Paul Arnold now his running back. Tuiasosopo to Elstrom to the 5. Very close to a first down. I believe he has it. He needed to get just across that 5 for a first down. Nick Barnett, the outside linebacker, making the tackle. But Tuiasosopo, you know, his whole game is working right now.
Yeah, and Elstrom is really stepping up to be there for Tuiasosopo. Marcus's numbers, again, off a little bit this year, although they face some awfully tough opponents. Remember Miami, the Hurricanes came up here to Husky Stadium, and the Huskies were able to get out big on them in the first half. And even though they had a late rally, Huskies were able to hold on for victory. Right there, it come up just a little bit short.
Tuiasosopo, he's a born leader. I mean, he's the grandson of Chief Asavalo Tuiasosopo from the remote village of Badia on the island of American Samoa. It is not an unpopular name. We may have only heard of Tuiasosopo one time, but in the Samoan phone book, there are 200 Tuiasosopos. Very common name. It's like Jones or Smith here in the States. Marcus Smith up to the line of scrimmage for Tuiasosopo, needing inches for the first down. Rich Alexis back in. Alexis hammered and knocked back by Terrence Carroll, number 44, the strong safety. Just 48 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. The Beavers by 1.
And interesting, they have Rich Alexis running between the tackles down near the goal line. That's one way for a young running back to mature very quickly. Get him into the heat of the action near the goal line. Right now they missed their fullback Pat Conniff too. But Braxton Clement, the experienced running back, able to move up into that fullback position.
First and goal. They got the first down. Now they give it to Clemens. Clemens to the 3. Well, I think Clemens playing the fullback really gives him an additional weapon. Pat Conniff was a slugger up the middle. Clemens has unusual speed for a fullback because he normally plays that tailback spot. Darnell Robinson on the tackle. We have played our final play of the 3rd quarter. Jonathan Smith, though, the quarterback for Oregon State, got the Beavers back in front on his 11-yard touchdown pass to wide receiver T.J. Houshmandzadeh. 21-20, Oregon State. Another thriller in the Pac-10. Oregon State by 1 over Washington. Steve Physiak along with Tom Ramsey. Big players play big at big times, and here's Marques Tuiasosopo having another terrific night.
Just a great game. Tuiasosopo really leading the way thus far for the Huskies. And I tell you what, their offense right now, a 2nd and goal at the 2.
And here comes Marques. He will hand off, and they will not get the touchdown. They get to about the 1.5-yard line as Dennis Erickson's defense straightens up. Atkinson, Manning from the middle of the defensive tackles, and also inside linebacker Richard Siegler.
And Steve, what's interesting, no turnovers tonight by either team. One time Oregon State laid the ball on the ground. They were able to recover their own fumble, but on 3rd down conversions tonight, Washington so far 4 for 8 on 3rd down conversions, but this by far the largest of the evening for them.
Tuiasosopo leaning forward, and again they push him back.
Yeah, they didn't get it. A great defensive stand again, and I think the biggest defensive stand so far in the game. Oregon State, before the first half ended tonight, they were able to stop Washington near the goal line as well. Washington only able to get a field goal before the half, but that's just great team defense right there.
There is a flag down. Offsides against Oregon State, so it's a free play and a couple of inches more. Let's see if they run Tuiasosopo again on that quarterback sneak. You saw Atkinson, who goes 6'6", 264.
Offsides on the defense. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat 3rd down.
And also Eric Manning, who's only 6'1", 294, but he plays like Larry Triplett. I mean, he got a great surge that time, disallowing Tuiasosopo to get to the end zone. There's your strong safety, Cookus. 3rd and goal. Rich Alexis, the tailback. Alexis easily walks in. Huskies back in front.
The offensive line does a great job. 51 Siegler comes and tries to stuff the hole. He just took on the wrong hole. And James Allen taking on the fullback Walker, and Alexis just prances in.
And another flag.
And I think what you're going to have is, again, another dead ball, personal foul.
Dead ball, personal foul against the defense after the touchdown. The player is ejected.
Ooh.
Ejection.
What player was ejected? Because that could really hurt Dennis Erickson's defense. Oh, he is hot. It is Eric Manning, their big defensive tackle, who has been so strong in the middle. Jim Fogeltantz has tossed him out. Dennis Erickson will argue. Manning is hot. So not only the penalty, but a loss of a player, and Manning threw his helmet.
And Steve, the problem is when a player gets ejected, it's not only for this game, it's for half of the next game too.
Wow, could this be a big swing? The Huskies with a 5-point lead. The college guys showing their emotion, and so much emotion going into this game. I mean, here is Oregon State. The last time they were ranked was the final poll of the 1968 season. Number 15. Dee Andrews was the coach, and Their record was 7-3. They will go for 2. Huskies drop the football, kick it around, picking it up, Oregon State, and they can go the distance and get the 2 points. Keith Hayward Johnson, 98 yards.
Wow. A huge play because the defense scores 2. If you miss a conversion and the defense takes it all the way, like we just saw, Keith Hayward Johnson, the senior corner, saw the live ball on the ground. Just a missed snap. Marques Tuiasosopo gets nailed by his fullback, and then Richard Lexus not even close to Hayward Johnson.
They are officially calling it a 96-yard return by Keith Hayward Johnson. And Rick Neuhausel, he can't believe it. Oh no, oh no. And now just 3 points separates Oregon State and Washington. Dennis Erickson saying, run, Keith, run.
That's right, he's got those two fingers, 2 points up in the air. Tell you, they're gonna miss Eric Manning, though, defensively when they come back out on defense. Manning has played exceptionally well on the interior. Watch, the ball just never gets up. Quarterback center exchange problem. Kyle Benn, the center, and Marques Tuiasosopo unable to execute. That's off to the races.
Now a field goal can tie. I believe we are a long way from the end of this game. We got 14 minutes and 1 second. Who knows? We might have another 30 points.
Everybody in Cali, what's up, New York? I ain't forgot about y'all.
We wanted to make sure we got the words in from Keith Hayward Johnson as you see Washington back in front. 27 first downs. Oregon State 235 yards allowed in the first 4 games. And Washington has gone for 429. Time of possession clearly in the Huskies' favor. Remember, Rick Neuhausel has never, ever lost a game when his team has won the time of possession battle. Eric Manning will not return. It'll be interesting who they bring in. Will they go with Dwan Edwards, Kyle Rozelle?
And Steve, neither team had committed a turnover up to that point, and all of a sudden, a couple points swing the other way, and now it's a 3-point game.
Ricky Walker. Walker diving forward past the 30-yard line. Both these teams do well in the fourth quarter, and here we've got 13:51 to go. Jonathan Smith at the controls. Simonton back in. He's been quiet. Kenny gets it and gets a couple. Simonton now rushing the football only 73 yards on 14 carries. He's been averaging almost 32 carries a game. But in the fourth quarter, look at this, Tom. Both teams are strong.
Yeah, they really are. Oregon State 176 to 57. And remember, they waited until the fourth quarter to put one of their opponents away. New Mexico, down at New Mexico. They won the game on a 4th and inches call with Simonton going the distance.
Neuhausel with 10 wins at Washington. He trailed in the fourth quarter in 4 of those. Erickson runs Simonton again, and he muscles his way up near the 38-yard line. They need him now. He came up big in their victory over USC late last week.
And I love Kenny Simonton. He gives you a chance on offense. He just pounds away. All of a sudden, it's a short 3rd and 3 because he's running so hard following that big offensive line. And they're doing a nice job locking up with a good aggressive defensive front of Washington.
Even though it's 3rd and 3, they may go right back to Simonton. No, they will fake. They dump it off to the tight end Maurer, and Maurer's got the first down near midfield. Martin Maurer, who's Pop Andy, played in the NFL for years.
Steve, when your running game is effective, as Oregon State's is right now, that play action right there, it holds several defenders, and then they slip Martin Maurer out. That's a little West Coast offense for you right there. Getting the ball to Martin Maurer, who just made a nice little.
Well, Andy, his dad went to Oregon, but the reason he went to OSU is because his uncles talked him into it. Andy was a Duck. from midfield. Smith going deep downfield. Broken up beautifully by Amari Lowe. Whew. Great inside coverage. Chad Johnson was the inside receiver, was the wide receiver.
Amari Lowe makes an exceptional play right here. He almost comes down with a pick. He had an opportunity a week ago versus the Oregon Ducks. He almost stole one of Joey Harrington's balls and took it the distance, but I tell you want to work on those ball drills in practice. I know they worked on a lot of them this week.
Let's see if they go back to Simonton. Yes. Look at that. I thought Anthony Von Tour had him at the line of scrimmage, and yet he sealed him off, slipped past him, and gains about 3 yards. There is a flag down, though.
And Tim Hundley, the defensive coordinator for the Huskies, he's bringing out all the stops as well. Von Tour, of course, is a cornerback.
That will hurt.
Illegal block by Oregon State, but Von Tour, a cornerback, comes off the edge on a blitz, trying to disrupt the Beavers in the backfield.
Illegal crackback on the offensive team, 15 yards from the other run, repeat second down.
And what this does, it really takes Simonton away. I mean, you could run Simonton second and long, but you're in a situation where you need to throw the football, and now it takes play action away.
But you know what they've been able to do all night? I expect them to bring in another wideout. Pat McCall actually coming in for Kenny Simonton, but they've run the spread offense so effectively tonight. They've really been able to neutralize the heart of that Washington defense by spreading them out, receivers all over the field.
The speedster Johnson is covered by Chris Massey, top of the screen. Play action, blitz on! Smith is sacked. They brought Curtis Williams from the strong safety, and he just flew into the backfield.
Curtis Williams, a strong safety. Take a look. He's right here. He's going to come and sneak in. Does a nice job. They don't account for him. All of a sudden, he breaks through the gap, able to just knife in, make a nice play on Jonathan Smith for a sack.
Now it's 3rd down and 33. 3 wide left. Washington shows a 4-man rush. Smith backing up. Jonathan going deep. Incomplete. You know what? There were about 2 Huskies who had a chance in that. Hushmanzada, Prescott, juggled it around. Those are the times you look at it in slow motion, you go, oh, I got it.
Well, Prescott's right in the middle of the field right there. He tries for the jump ball. He almost comes down with it. I tell you, had the ball been thrown a little earlier, Robert Prescott was open down the middle of the field.
Fessler on to punt. He hit one 65 yards earlier, pinning Washington back inside their 10-yard line. 4th straight year he has been the regular Oregon State punter, and he almost had that one blocked. The 38, Johnson goes down near the 39-yard line. Timeout in the field. 10:32 remaining. The Huskies 26, the Beavers 23. We'll be right back. Number 13 Washington by 3 over number 23 Oregon State. 4th quarter, 10:32 remaining. Verizon presents 1st and 10 all season long on Fox Sports Net. College football Saturday. Verizon, making the world of communications a whole lot simpler. Huskies football at their own 40. Tuiasosopo handing it off. Nothing. Again, Eric Manning has been kicked out of the game because of throwing his helmet on the Huskies' last touchdown. Juan Edwards is his backup. He's a 6'3", 267-pound redshirt freshman, Columbus, Montana. And there's Juan Edwards. ESP, they said he was a linebacker and a fullback in high school. Also a great athlete, averaged 22 points per game in basketball. So he takes over for Eric Manning. They show blitz, and here they come. Tuiasosopo in trouble. The dump off to Arnold. This screen pass has worked beautifully all night long.
They've run the screen about a half dozen times tonight. They've run it in their own territory deep. They've run it in the red zone. They've run it out in the middle of the field right now versus an Oregon State blitz. The Lawrence Grant actually did a great job. He tied up about 3 blockers and allowed his cohorts to come over and make the tackle, but after a first down for Washington.
I'll tell you, this has always been a league of great quarterbacks, but I think he is #1 in this conference. Carson Palmer, Joey Harrington, and others. Willie Hurst in the game. They run Braxton Clement, the fullback, though, and Clement with a short carry. Braxton Clement has been almost a secret weapon in this game. They've run him very effectively from that fullback position after they lost their starting fullback, Pat Conniff, to a knee injury. Conniff goes 6'1", 245. Clement much smaller but faster at 6 foot 215. Gain of 3, 2nd and 7. They rush from the right side. They give it to Arnold. Big hole right side. There goes Paul to the 30. Arnold to the 20 and out of bounds. First down. "27 yards for Arnold."
Well, the nice job up front. Kind of a little delayed draw action. And then you see Paul Arnold's speed. He came in heralded with such great speed a year ago as a true freshman. They were able to work him somewhat into the offense, although Maurice Shaw carried the majority of the time at running back last year. Arnold, though, at 86 yards himself.
As a team, they have 250 yards rushing. This is the defense that held USC last week to only 63 yards rushing. Tuiasosopo goes right back. This time Rich Alexis, 10, 5 to the 4, and it is another first down for the Huskies.
And what's interesting, Rich Alexis over 100 yards tonight for the Huskies, and that's the first time a UW rusher has gone over 100 this year. Rich Alexis, a true freshman. Nice 1-2 punch tonight, he and Arnold, but right there you see the vision displayed by Alexis. Nice north and south runner, keeping a shoulder square to the hole and able just to lunge ahead. Not a bad average tonight, 8.9.
Tuiasosopo on the keeper, dives for the touchdown.
Tuiasosopo, watch, he's gonna end up, if we can hold it right here. Oh, he makes a great fake out to the pitch man and beats the defender on the line of scrimmage. Marques Tuiasosopo showing his experience again.
He's run for 40 and a touchdown. He's thrown for 223 and a touchdown, and he has given his Huskies a 10-point lead over Oregon State. Tuiasosopo has been all over the field, helping his team to a 10-point lead. And he told us he has never considered it acceptable to sit down after any sporting event and say, I could have played harder. He gives it everything he has, from the opening kickoff to the very end. Going to one knee is Robert Prescott, and Oregon State will start their offense at their own 20-yard line. I wonder how many healthy guys Bruce Snyder has left. They had a big win over Cal today with a third-string quarterback, Griffin Goodman. Congratulations to Mr. Goodman. Here goes Simonton to the 24-yard line. Gain of 4. Ken Simonton, one of the top running backs in the nation, only with 83 yards rushing on 17 carries. 84. Short 101 yards.
84, he comes in with 16 100-yard games in his career.
Hakeem Akbar, the free safety, just made his 15th tackle on that last play. Simonton, a couple, that's it. Boy, they are ready to stop him. Jeremiah Farms came from the outside. Larry Triplett, Ben Madavi from the inside.
And Larry Triplett was the man who made the initial hit. Watch him slip through into the backfield, just knifing between two big offensive players, and he's able to get enough of Simonton to slow him down, and the rest of his mates come over and make the tackle.
Washington called timeout before the play. First timeout.
Washington, they say, called out timeout before the play. So the ball will be placed back at the 24-yard line, and Rick Neuhauser doesn't like that. Instead of 3rd and 4, it is 2nd down and 6.
Remember Washington, second week of the season, knocking off Miami here in Seattle, 34-29, and Miami's quarterback Dorsey couldn't handle the noise, and much like Jonathan Smith is finding out right now.
2nd and 10, 4 wide receivers set, and at 5 feet 10 inches tall, sometimes it's hard to throw over those big defensive linemen, and Anthony Von Tour, who was blitzing on the play, knocked it down.
Von Tour made a great play. He was just able to read the quarterback's eyes and creates a very big 3rd down for Oregon State. Oregon State has a lot of time left, 7:33, but they really would like to convert on this possession because it's only going to get louder and more difficult if you're the Beavers. They're on 5 for 10 tonight on 3rd down.
The crowd gets into it.
And watch for Prescott right here in the slot.
Blitz. Smith in trouble, going deep. Look at this pass! Chad Johnson, gone! Oh, Jonathan Smith slipping and sliding and still fires a strike to Chad Johnson. 80 yards.
Let me go ahead and pick up my jaw off the floor here. Jonathan Smith blows out his shoe, steps up, and just heaves one. This is like, hey, Jonathan, throw it as far as you can. And the 4.3 40, Chad Johnson just able to sprint into the end zone and beat everyone in the defensive backfield for the score.
Wow. What a game. Seska. Oregon State within 3. Chad Johnson 80 yards on 3rd and 10. Beavers right back in it. (33-30). Jonathan Smith having another big game against Oregon State. He has thrown for 291 yards now and 3 touchdown passes. It was just 2 years ago that he set the Oregon State record with 469 passes against the Huskies. He had 8 plays over 25 yards that night. How about that? A minute drive, 3 plays, 80 yards. Now they kick it out of bounds. Penalty will go against Oregon State. Let's take a look at that last touchdown. First, Jonathan Smith loses his shoe and still throws an absolute perfect pass.
He steps out.
Free kick out of bounds.
He steps out of his shoe. This fires a rocket.
35-yard line. 1st and 10, Washington.
Chad Johnson, 80 yards. Gone. 3-point game. Jonathan, here's a kid who was MVP in the San Gabriel Valley League and got recruiting letters beginning his sophomore year from UCLA, and then people looked at the films and said, this kid's only 5 feet 10. So no one recruited him except Humboldt State, Cal Davis, University of San Diego, and Idaho. Oregon State got interested while recruiting lineman Dustin Jans and persuaded Smith to attend as a walk-on. Now he has been their starting quarterback since his redshirt freshman season. Paul Arnold slipping through. Arnold up past the 45 to the 46. Terrence Carroll, the strong safety, with another tackle.
And Washington started out in pretty good field position. The ball went out of bounds, and then they were accompanied with a dead ball personal foul against Oregon State, so it put the ball in great field position. And then Paul Arnold just knifing it up inside. He's close to 100 himself tonight.
Hey, Rams, let me ask you a question. Here is a team that has rushed for 278 yards in the game. They're going against a defense that's very fast. Are they just getting tired because they're physically outsized?
Yeah, I really think the Washington offensive line had a challenge to themselves before the game. Keith Gilbertson, the offensive coordinator, and I spoke before the game, and I just said, hey, who has to step up, you know, big, real big tonight? And he goes, the entire offensive line.
And they have. They have just seen their second running back go over the 100-yard mark. Paul Arnold with 102.
And they were prepared. They had a good week of practice. Take a look at the senior dominant offensive line, and those guys.
They averaged 314 pounds.
They haven't missed too many meals.
2nd and 6. Tuiasosopo trying to find Jeremy Stevens. He had 3 white jerseys around him, and it will now be a 3rd down and 6 yards to go.
And Tuiasosopo, you know, we talked about Jonathan Smith putting up 469 yards a couple years ago here in Husky Stadium, and I know when Rick Neuhauser was at Colorado, he saw flashes of greatness by Tuiasosopo several years ago too. He went crazy in a big game versus Nebraska in relief of Brock Heward. Threw for 270 yards, but right now this is when you got to convert. The 3rd down and 6. Watch, I believe it's Elstrom in the slot.
Blitz. Tuiasosopo picks it up, now must scramble. Incomplete. And Oregon State will get it back down by 3 inside 5:50 to go. Yes, he was looking for Elstrom, but the rush came hard, and it came from Dwan Edwards, the defensive tackle who had to replace Eric Manning, who was thrown out for tossing his helmet earlier.
Boy, the rush did come hard. Oregon State, Craig Bray's defense has not let up. Craig Bray, of course, the defensive coordinator. He coached for so many years at Washington State, so he knows the Huskies and their schemes very well as well. Hushmanzada, big returner for Oregon State.
Fleming lets it go. Hushmanzada takes it at the 16, and then he spins. He's in trouble. He is back near the 10. Well, he winds up running for about 35 yards and loses 2.
I think that's just a great job of Washington special teams containing Hushmanzada. He was averaging 22 yards a return on punt returns, and they held him to 0 just then.
Simonton skips through, and then he is cut from behind by Curtis Williams. Lisa, what do you have?
Well, OSU free safety Kevin Carlisle has been on the sideline since he hurt his right shoulder. He actually played in that last series. He's got a significant wrap there on the arm to prevent the shoulder from moving up and down too much. He has been back in the game since the injury happened, though. So Stevie's a tough guy. We'll see if he goes in next time.
From L.A. Dorsey High School, same high school as Sparky Anderson. You better believe he's tough. 2nd and 2, Simonton, 1st down.
And I'll tell you a guy just as tough, Kenny Simonton. Wow. He just gets hit and keeps on coming. Simonton, 97 rushing yards tonight. Take a look, averaging 138 over his last 17. 1,600-yard games.
He's probably telling his big guys up front, come on, give me just a little crease, and I'll break one for you. Now from the 26. Simonton again, fighting his way through. Hey, Rams, how difficult is it to find him? Here's a guy 5'7". He gets behind those big offensive linemen, and can you see him?
Well, no, you can't see him. Watch him follow the big guard right here. He kind of dips in, and then he gets lost. And if you're a safety man like Akbar is, the free safety coming up to tackle 35, you can't really see him. But I was talking to Simonton before the game. I mean, he is built like a 300-pound guy. He is barrel-chested. He's got big set of legs.
He'll go to the sideline, and Patrick McCall, who had a 43-yard touchdown run earlier tonight, will come in. Plenty of time for Jonathan Smith. 4:16 remaining.
Timeout, Oregon State.
Timeout, Oregon State.
I still think Simonton is the most underrated player in college football.
Jonathan Smith having a terrific game. Here is the throw to Robert Prescott for a touchdown. And he hit TJ Hushmanzada, and of course the 80. Lose the shoe, throw it 80. Chad Johnson, use your speed. 33-30. Well, Oregon State just used their second timeout. And look at the 98 game at Husky Stadium. How do you do that at Husky Stadium? You told me that the crowd can be like a tidal wave and completely run you over.
I never threw for 469 at Husky Stadium, so I couldn't tell you. Very difficult to do. They fought from behind, though, and they just made a couple huge plays. Prescott was one of those receivers of some long yardage touchdowns.
Well, the Beaver fans have been excited ever since Dennis Erickson showed up. Took him to the first bowl game since 1964 last year. I mean, they went 7-5 last season, 4-4, lost in the Oahu Bowl to Hawaii 23-17. Now 2nd and 3. McCall stays in the game. Washington showing blitz. Hakeem Akbar. They give it to McCall. McCall straightens up Darrell Daniels and pushes him back. And he may have gotten that first down. I believe he did.
Boy, the offensive line doing a nice job. Again, they've been running this little counter action. Watch the guard tackle move. And then McCall, the running back, just follows big Mitch White, the big pulling tackle. 6'5", 311-pound senior.
Sesko warming up, trying for the tie. We saw Florida State try for the tie earlier today, the #1 team in the nation. They would miss from 50 yards out. And they will not be #1 anymore. McCall diving forward, and he's past the 40 out near the 43.
And Steve, this is what Dennis Erickson is thinking right now. 3:45 left in the game. This is his final drive. 1 timeout left. So this is your final drive. You don't want to anticipate the fact that you might get the ball back. You got to score your points now and hope for the best.
Simonton back in. Ken gets the call, the carry, and slides past the 45, but he still will be about 2 shy of a first down. Jeremiah Farms came from his outside linebacking position to put the hit on Ken.
Good offensive philosophy here too. They've really hurt the Huskies defense with a couple long passes tonight. I'll tell you, you know, 3rd and very short, you can be hurt with play action too, because if you're the defensive front, you're looking run all the way here.
And you're looking Simonton. Here he goes. Very close. He needed to get past the 47.
And he got it.
He got it.
He just is so powerful and low to the ground. Ken Simonton, I asked him, I said, hey, Pittsburgh, California's got to be pretty proud of you. And he said, you know, I get a lot of great support from home. And he is just really a true guy you can look up to. Nice role model. I mean, he's runs hard, plays hard, practices hard. You gotta like that.
107 yards rushing now for Ken Simonton. They fake it, they throw it to Martin Maurer, and they almost had it picked up by Anthony Von Tour, who was blitzing from his left corner position.
Boy, Anthony Von Tour, watch him from the corner. He comes up and then he jumps. And Steve, he almost picks the ball off. This is a great play by Von Tour. He realizes it's a throw out to the tight end. He almost swipes it. Watch Maurer gets a little piece of him. Boy, great pressure that time by Jeremiah Farms.
2nd and 10. Husky Stadium picks up the volume. Bontour showing blitz again. Here he comes. And Smith falls down. I believe the offensive guard stepped on his foot as he came away from center.
Boy, you got to like Tim Hundley's defense, the pressure defense. And now, look, if you're Dennis Erickson, you do have 2 minutes left right now. Boy, Jonathan Smith, he's having some problems with his feet. One, he loses his shoe a couple plays ago, and then the center stepped on his foot that time.
Just take the shoe off and throw it to Chad Johnson. 7 for 12 on 3rd down, and Husky Stadium is rocking. TJ leans forward a yard shy. 4th and 1. Curtis Williams on the tackle.
4th and 1, game on the line. This is what Oregon State faced a couple weeks back versus New Mexico. They had a 4th and 1 on the plus side. In fact, it was about the plus 42. Right now, they're sitting on the plus 43. 4th and 1 against New Mexico. They gave it to Simonton. He broke versus New Mexico and scored a touchdown on 4th and 1.
They've got McCall in the game, and Simonton is on the sideline. Patrick, 1st down and more. 35-yard line. Tell you what, they are impressive.
Give it to that number 1 back, Pat McCall. I really believe Simonton's the most underrated player in college football, but you're going to hear a lot about this player too. Pat McCall, a great athlete coming out of Carson High School, went to Michigan, and then transferred to Oregon State because of Mike Riley.
Seska has had problems the last half of 1999. Just 1 field goal this year. .52 seconds remain. Smith fires, completes it inside the 25. Hushmanzada falls in the football. Very close to a 1st down. He had to go back to get the football, so it might be. This will allow the clock to still move. Now the officials will stop it to measure. No, Oregon State has to call timeout. Where's the mark? It is short of the 1st down.
Oh, their last timeout utilized just then. So what they know they're going to get, they know they're going to get another clock stoppage if they get a 1st down. Right there. Referee asking to put more time on the clock.
Look at Smith. What a game he has had, throwing for 314 yards. It was 14-7 at the end of 1. Washington then took the lead to halftime, but Oregon State scored a touchdown to go up 21-20. Huskies with 2 scores in the 4th quarter. But remember, they went for a 2-point conversion, dropped the football. It was recovered and run back 96 yards for the 2 points. That's why it's a 33-30 game instead of 35-28.
And right now, this is a huge play. Rick Neuheisel knows he's 0-1 in the conference already. A 2nd loss in the conference will pretty much knock them out of the race. Oregon State undefeated. One of the lone undefeated teams still in the nation.
2nd and 1.
Hey, you know what? You could take a shot deep. Right now, it's a great time.
You also have Simonton. And they'll go counter Simonton. He can't get free, and they can't stop the clock. Larry Triplett did a great job from his defensive tackle spot to just flush by the guard and center.
Larry Triplett swelled up to be a mountain that time on defense.
They stopped the clock.
Crazy. Boy, I tell you, they're going to wish they threw it on 2nd down. So much time burned off the clock. You take a loss on the running play.
The counter has worked so many times, but it is a play that takes a lot of time to develop.
This is a very long field goal for Seska.
From 46 yards out. The longest in his career from 43. for the tie. On the way. No good. We saw it already once today with Florida State losing to Miami.
Boy, and Dennis Erickson knows that being pushed back on that Simonton run play, probably not throwing the ball on second down, really hurt that opportunity to tie the game.
And Rick Neuheisel knows that he is just 14 seconds away from going 4-1 this year. Oregon State out of timeouts. All Tuiasosopo has to do is go to one knee and then shake the hands of the opponents who have really battled fiercely tonight. Tuiasosopo one knee. It is all over in Seattle. Oregon State will suffer their first loss of the year. They'll be 1-1 in conference play as well. Washington moves to 4-1. They win their first conference game of the year, and they will take on Arizona State next week. Our TiVo player of the game, Rich Alexis, 12 carries, 107 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Boy, Rich Alexis, he might want to give it to that offensive line.
Or Tuiasosopo, but the votes still coming in from the Electoral College, and Alexis wins the early. 33-30, Washington over Oregon State. Another terrific game on Fox Sports Net.
Well, just fantastic. Rick Neuheisel and his team, the Huskies, get back in the conference race. A big, big win for them at home.
For Tom Ramsey and Lisa Miloski, I'm Steve Physiak. College Football Saturday has been a presentation of Fox Sports Net.